News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. New details on the disappearance of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy. Pima County, Arizona Sheriff Chris Nanos.
This is an 84-year-old lady who, in the middle of the night, while she's asleep, is taken from her home.
Correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti.
Savannah Guthrie rushed here to Tucson to be by her family's side. The Guthries are a prominent family in this community. I asked the sheriff if that could have made them a target. He told me he did not believe so. But at this stage in the investigation, anything is possible.
Savannah Guthrie is in Tucson working with police to try to find her mother. We're told she's hired a private security team over concerns for her own safety. Guthrie asked her Instagram followers overnight to please pray. A former first couple's had a change of heart about testifying in a House investigation into the Jeffrey Epstein case. CBS's Jennifer Kuiper.
A spokesperson for the Clintons has posted on social media that former President Bill Clinton and the former First Lady and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton will testify in a U.S. House investigation surrounding late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The development came during talks for a potential floor vote this week on the former first couple for contempt of Congress.
The Clintons have asked for tomorrow's contempt vote to be canceled. French prosecutors raided the offices of Elon Musk's social media platform X today. Officials say it's part of a preliminary investigation into complicity in the alleged spread of pornographic images of children, sexually explicit deep fakes, and Holocaust denial, among other things. So far, there's no comment from X. Fuel leaks are delaying the scheduled launch of NASA's moon rocket. Correspondent Michael Wallace has the update.
During a wet dress rehearsal countdown, NASA discovered a hydrogen fuel leak near the base of the Artemis 2 rocket. The space agency pushed this month's scheduled launch to next month at the earliest. Teams need to assess all the test data before setting a new launch date. The 4 astronauts who hope to take a 9-day flight around the moon will be released from their 2-week quarantine.
The NFL commissioner is addressing concerns over the Super Bowl halftime show after Bad Bunny denounced the Trump administration at the Grammy Awards.
We're not savage. We're not animals.
Roger Goodell says he doesn't expect anything political when the Puerto Rican superstar takes the stage Sunday night.
He understood the platform he was on, and that this platform is used to unite people.
For football fans who don't want to watch his show, Turning Point USA will live stream a Kid Rock concert on YouTube and X. This is CBS News.
Real crimes, real justice. Follow and listen to 48 Hours on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
It is 6:03, and right now it's cloudy, 30 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
I'm Tom Ackerman. We're keeping an eye on that accident, 55 southbound at McNutt. They are routing people off at Z, said Roger Brand, and now a report of an accident, he said, right on that exit at Z. So just keep an eye on that 55 northbound, also slowing down at McNutt. That is the Herculaneum exit. Checking our forecast, we will take a look at that here momentarily, and we also have a chance of a little bit of snow, maybe some freezing drizzle today. A domestic dispute in the Skinker de Bolivar neighborhood. A call Monday night ended with a St. Louis City police officer wounding a man who shot and killed a woman in front of them.
It happened about 8 o'clock last night in the 5700 block of Waterman.
When officers face danger, they do it professionally. They do it quickly, and they do everything they can to save human lives.
That's police spokesperson Mitch McCoy, who says efforts to save the woman were unsuccessful, but authorities were able to get the man to a hospital. He is said to be in critical, unstable condition. No names have yet been released.
Few details have been released about a Monday afternoon shooting death in the West End neighborhood of St. Louis. Police say a man was gunned down in the 5900 block of Julian, that is between Skinker and Goodfellow. No word on any suspects.
So our per capita funding of transit is going to drop from $189 to 27 cents under his current proposal.
That's Kim Sella, CEO of Citizens for Modern Transit and executive director of the Missouri Transit Association, talking about Governor Mike Kehoe's budget proposal that would cut more funding for state transportation.
This is an 85% reduction over the last 2 years, and it's going to create dire situations in Missouri for public transit.
And senior citizens who rely on OATS, the disabled, rural communities, and people who need public transportation to get to work will all be affected.
We have 30 providers across the state of Missouri, and every provider will be impacted on the state transit assistance line. So that means money invested by the state of Missouri will be reduced by 85% over the last 2 years. For example, OATS will go from receiving almost $3 million to about $300,000. We have Bi-State in the St. Louis area going from $4.9 million to $677,000 under this proposed recommendation.
These are critical dollars because this is the money being used by transit providers across the state for federal matching funds. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Coming up at 6:22, we'll hear more from Kim Sella about this issue.
Our goal is for everyone who is eligible, for everyone in their neighborhood, to get their properties fixed.
That's Julian Nix, City of St. Louis Chief Recovery Officer. He says people affected by the May tornado have until February 14th to submit an application to the city for the Private Property Assistance Program.
This deadline is try to make sure we can make as many of those individuals possible and eligible under the FEMA funding. We will continue to work with residents who missed the deadline. Our intention is to support all the residents where we can.
Venice, Illinois is one of the most impoverished areas in the Metro East.
They don't have a grocery store, not yet. Because of a grant, construction will begin any day on what's called a public option grocery store. The city will own the building and the land, and private investors will come in and run it.
You might see in some areas where grocery stores, when they don't make a profit or sales fall off, they leave, and then there's just a vacant building. So hopefully this model will prevent that from happening.
Mayor Philip White says Granite City is the nearest grocery store right now. This is part of a bigger revitalization plan to add homes and a medical center. A new school has already been built. Beth Coughlin, KMOX News.
In just a few years, the United States will be in demographic winter.
Growth at the U.S. level starting to slow down fairly significantly. And so it's going to be very difficult for states to grow.
Ness Sandoval, demographer at St. Louis University, says Missouri has been in demographic winter since 2020. The negative effects of this include not having enough workers to fill essential jobs and not enough working people to support a growing population of seniors and retirees. Sandoval also says certain industries will start shutting down and more universities, high schools, and grammar schools will start closing.
From the business desk, you might already see Waymo self-driving cars being tested around St. Louis. We've learned the robo-taxi pioneering company has raised another $16 billion to increase its value to $126 billion. Analysts say the lofty valuation may feed recurring speculation that Waymo will eventually go public as part of a spinoff from its corporate parent Alphabet Inc., which also owns Google.
We'll check traffic next at 6:08.
Dreaming of college but worried about the cost? The Together Foundation is here to help. The Together Foundation is awarding 5 $1,500 scholarships to St. Louis area students who are ready to take the next step toward their future. Applying is simple, but time is limited, as applications will be accepted through March 31st. Learn more or apply at togethercu.org/scholarship. That's togethercu.org/scholarship. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Universal Windows Direct. Hopefully after 25 years together, you trust me that I only represent good companies. Universal Windows Direct is great. They have a great deal for the DGS audience. Buy 2 windows, get 2 for free. 0% interest for 36 months, so you can spread out your payments, same as cash. Also, $500 off your home improvement project. 314-334-2522 or visit universalwindowsdirect.com. Like you me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It is 6:10, so let's get you caught up here on Total Information AM with traffic and the weather. Could see a few snow flurries, maybe even some freezing rain or drizzle this morning. We'll have more details coming up in just a moment. But first, here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, we're still in the same situation on southbound Highway 55. We had the crash that occurred about exactly 3 hours ago. It was about 3:10 or so when that call came out for it. Southbound 55 at McNutt, and it was a serious crash, and southbound 55 has been closed for the most part since that time. And we still have that shutdown. In fact, they're still diverting the traffic off on Highway Z. There's a jam, of course, approaching Highway Z, and there's a report of an injury crash at the exit to Highway Z, or at least near it. So they called out EMS, and I haven't heard any more on the status of that. I wouldn't imagine it would be too serious since traffic was already jammed before it even got to the exit. Northbound 55, Gawkers coming through McNutt. Not a solid jam, but it's heavy almost midway back to Highway A. Once you get past that point, you're good to go. And the rest of these area highways, even in the work zones on both sides of the river, everything else is light and on the go so far. Next update at 6:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg says we're going to have a couple of morning flurries, otherwise chilly with considerable cloudiness. Says watch out for some freezing drizzle as well, a high of 36 degrees today. And then for tonight, a low of 19, so we're back into some frigid temperatures. Tomorrow, high only 31. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we start to see some sun and mid-40s. We get up to 47 on Friday with the breeze in the afternoon. Currently, we have some clouds in downtown St. Louis. It's 30 degrees.
It is 6:12, and Cardinals broadcasts will look less like Fox Sports Midwest and more like MLB Network this year.
That's because starting this season, Major League Baseball takes over the television production of Cardinals games.
Cardinals TV ultimately is going to be a new way for fans to watch all of our local in-market games.
If you have cable, you'll still find the games with specific channel numbers coming in a few weeks. If you stream, a standalone subscription will now cost $19.99 a month or $99.99 for the year. Cardinals Senior VP Anouk Karutnaratne says the league isn't just taking over distribution, they're upgrading the visuals with wire cams and cinematic shots.
I think baseball is putting a big focus on thinking about how to modernize, a baseball broadcast. And, some of those things we will certainly experiment with this season.
The broadcasts will also feature new on-screen graphics to visualize the challenge system that's coming for balls and strikes. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Even if you get confused about which app or channel you need to watch the Cardinals, you won't have to guess where to listen to them. Karutnaratne says, on the Gas House Gang, the franchise treasures its longtime stability on the radio dial.
Obviously, really appreciate you guys and our relationship with KMOX. It's one that goes back, this being the 100th year of KMOX in our market.
KMOX will carry every regular season game, and we'll have a slate of spring training matchups, both on air and streaming, starting later this month.
A former MICDS junior varsity basketball coach will be sentenced May 6th after pleading guilty to a federal charge of attempting to receive child sex abuse material. 29-year-old Lee Bogan Jr.'s case dates back to April 2024.
Prosecutors say he sent lewd photos to high school students through a social media app. Several of those students took screenshots and gave the images to police. With the federal conviction, Bogan faces 5 to 20 years in prison. State charges are still pending in St. Louis County.
More than 600 of the top professionals in the running industry are in St. Louis right now. We asked Sean Sullivan, executive director for Running USA, how to start.
St. Louis here in town produces a lot of events. Maybe find one of those. That could be your start point through a training program. Get yourself to a start line, build your health, finish your race, and you're contributing to the wellness of the United States through running.
This event in St. Louis brings together race sponsors and organizers from all over the country.
I wonder if Amy Markscore should join them for a little,
I'm sure
little
she
run
will.
around town. It's 6:15. Brendan Donovan has been traded. It's something we've been talking about since the end of the regular season. Donovan and the Cardinals have parted ways, but he'll be remembered closely, says Chaim Bloom, the president of baseball operations, who said the following last night when officially announcing the deal. All of us here are so grateful for Brendan's contributions to the Cardinals and to our community, which will last well beyond his time here, said Bloom. He is first class as both a player and person, and that combination is rare. We wish him and his wonderful family well. He was a Silver Slugger finalist, a Gold Glove finalist, won the Gold Glove also, and he an All-Star last year. Donovan was a terrific player for this team for 4 years. Now, why did they trade him? Well, why did they trade Contreras, Gray, Arenado? The Cardinals are trying to get younger, and Donovan was said to have drawn the biggest haul of all of them. As it turns out, he did get 5 players to the Cardinals. Here's how the deal breaks down as the Cardinals officially announced this last night. They have traded Donovan to the Seattle Mariners, but the Tampa Bay Rays are also involved in this deal. The Cardinals get right-handed pitcher Gerangelo Sinjay from the Mariners and outfielder Ty Pete. Both of those players were first-round picks by Seattle. Sinjay, who's a switch pitcher, an ambidextrous pitcher. He can throw righty and lefty, although he's expected to throw righty for the Cardinals. Number 7 prospect for the Mariners and their first-round pick out of Mississippi State in 2024. Pete is a power-hitting outfielder, 6'2", 193-pound left-handed slugger who hit 19 home runs and drove in 63 last year in Single A, 30th overall pick in the 2023 draft. The Cardinals also got Colton Ledbetter in the Donovan trade. He comes over from the Tampa Bay Rays. Outfielder was the second-round pick of Tampa Bay in the 2023 draft out of Mississippi State. They also received 2 compensation round B draft selections. The Cardinals get 1 from the Mariners, 1 from the Rays, projected as picks number 68 and 72 in the 2026 MLB draft. All of that said, the comment from Bloom is that we are pleased that because of this deal, we will add 5 more promising young players to the talent pipeline that has always fueled this organization's sustained success. Bloom goes on to say, we believe we've added exciting athleticism and upside on both sides of the ball, with more to come in this summer's draft. There is more to come on this trade. On the Gas House Gang, we'll have Bernie Miklasz weigh in on it. He'll be joining Chris Ranji and me at 12:05 today for the full hour, the Gas House Gang on KMOX. And then tonight we have Billiken basketball. The Billikens play at 8 o'clock tonight. They take on Davidson. Yes, I said 8 o'clock. That's 9 o'clock in North Carolina, so it'll be a late night for them. They're trying to get well, by the way. The Billikens have been dealing with some illnesses going through their team for the last 3 weeks. Robbie Avila, the latest, but he was out there shooting yesterday. SLU at Davidson, 8 o'clock tip tonight. Billikens ranked 19th in the country. Also tonight, Southern Illinois at Illinois State, SIUE at Lindenwood in local action. The Blues lost 6-5 last night at Nashville. They were up 5-1 in the game and blew it. We'll hear a little bit more from Jim Montgomery on the way. Tomorrow, the Blues play an 8:30 game at Dallas. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Cardinals and Billikens, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
In times that feel uncertain, music can bring us together. Join the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra for Prokofiev and Child's Anthems of Resilience. Experience a shared journey of hope through Prokofiev's Symphony No. 5, Rena Esmail's Remember, and Billy Child's Diaspora, featuring saxophonist Stephen Banks. February 6th and 7th at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
Martin Luther King was killed by an assassin's bullet tonight.
From moment to memory.
It's a strike call! A no-hitter for Gibson!
A Among those voices, Charlie Brennan.
Well, we've got lots to talk about, despite our listeners' letters to the contrary.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. You know, when you go to the Audiology Center, you'll see a doctor of audiology. And with us right now, Dr. Colleen Bosler. Dr. Bosler, what are some of the signs of hearing loss?
Well, it's a number of things. Sometimes loved ones notice a person asking others to repeat themselves, or the television is too loud. What people tend to notice first with hearing loss is the loss of clarity. They can hear people talking, but they cannot always understand what's being said. That's because the hearing loss can cause you to miss certain consonant sounds, and those consonant sounds give us the detail to the word. A hearing aid can help bring back those details and give you a sense of clarity that you're missing.
Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center with 3 locations in the greater St. Louis area. Call for an appointment, 636-441-7470. Online, theaudiologycenterstl.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
Your morning news and information. Total Information AM.
It is 6:21. Let's check in with Roger Brand and the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, the only thing we need to talk about, well, I guess thankfully there isn't more than one issue out there, Debbie, but we still have this crash southbound 55 at McNutt that occurred a little bit after 3 this morning. They're still out there dealing with it. They're diverting traffic off southbound 55 at Highway Z, and there's a crash on the ramp. I can see it now because enough of the traffic sort of filtered out, for at least for the time being. It's on the right side of the ramp. You can still get off the highway, but it's only one lane getting off the highway. Southbound 55 at Z. And unfortunately, it doesn't appear to me that anybody's directing traffic at the bottom of the ramp. So you just have to wait at the signal. So there is a jam southbound. And of course, northbound folks have been gawking at the initial southbound crash, which was at McNutt. So northbound 55, while it's not a complete jam, it is slow in pockets all the way back, midway back to Highway A up to McNutt, and then it gets rolling. They don't seem to be bothered by that Z1 since it's on the ramp. They're also building a little bit of volume. Bayless up to River to Pear is kind of slow right now on northbound 55 as well. Other than that, though, the rest of the area, interstates and major secondaries coming onto the interstates, everything looks good for you on both sides of the river. Next update at 6:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Couple of morning flurries, otherwise chilly, says Joe Lundberg. Maybe some freezing drizzle today, high 36. Mostly cloudy, cold tonight, low 19. Tomorrow, clouds and sunshine, high 31. It's 29 right now from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
Governor Mike Kehoe is proposing cutting funds at the state level that will impact transit providers across the state of Missouri. Yesterday, the Missouri House Budget Committee held hearings.
But CEO for Citizens for Modern Transit and Executive Director of the Missouri Transit Association, Kim Sella, tells KMOX this is going to have a catastrophic impact on senior citizens, OATs, the disabled, and people who use public transportation to get to work.
These are critical dollars because they're the dollars that are being used by transit providers across the state for federal matching funds. So at the federal level, our providers can receive operating funds at a 50-50 match and capital funds at an 80-20 match. But when you pretty much remove all general revenue assistance for public transit, we have a significant hole, especially in the rural areas. And so this has become a top priority for transit providers, employers, organizations across the state. Mobility matters, and Missourians are going to be left behind without this funding.
Has he given any indication why such a drastic cut?
Well, we know that the state is grappling with budgetary issues, but that is all we know right now. There's actually a hearing going on right now as we're talking on HB4, which includes MODOC's budget, and they are presenting information right now on the impacts that this will have on public transit.
And I guess you had mentioned about because it's matched federally, so that means we'll lose all the federal funding as well.
Well, that's right. So, you know, a lot of systems have some local funding matches, but our rural providers state investment is a critical component, and every dollar matters when we're talking about public transit, whether you're a rural provider or an urban provider. So when you remove 85% of the state funding, those are funds that we can no longer bring back to Missouri. If it's capital, it's 80% that they could bring back on the federal level. If it's operating, it's 50-50. So if you spend $10,000 on operating, you can bring $10,000 from the federal government to match that for operating when you look at those state funds. And so it is a serious issue for transit across the state.
Sella says there is one thing that can stop these cuts from jeopardizing Missouri's transit. Residents need to call state reps and state senators and let them know it is not all right for the Show Me State to have its transit budget cut by 85%.
The city of Wildwood facing pushback on its long-running deer culling program, with some residents arguing the city has gone too far. While officials say population control is necessary for safety, local hunter Tom Mitchell tells Fox 2 the herds in some neighborhoods have already been decimated.
Last summer, several of us noticed there were no deer in certain pockets of Wildwood.
Mitchell and the Wildwood Conservation Alliance are challenging the city's data, suggesting that the professional culling operations are working to solve a problem that no longer exists in parts of the city.
Missouri is bringing back its Environmental Crimes Task Force to speed up the prosecution of polluters. Department of Natural Resources Director Kurt Schaefer tells KMOX's Michael Calhoun that the multi-agency team is meant to eliminate the bureaucratic hurdles that often slow down investigations between state and federal regulators.
So would you say this cuts red tape, for instance, between DNR and EPA?
Yeah, I think absolutely. And it just helps the communication and it helps cases move faster.
Schaefer says the task force met last week for the first time in 25 years.
Some people think it's fun to skip out on a restaurant tab, but CBS News reporter Christopher Cruz says 2 Dine and Dashers found themselves on the wrong end of a gun.
It happened in Fraser, Colorado. Police say a man and a woman walked out of a restaurant without paying for more than $100 worth of food and drinks. 2 employees followed the suspects, who boarded a bus and then got off at a convenience store. That's where the employees confronted the 2. One of them took a handgun from his waistband and pointed it at the suspects. Police say the other employee put the man in a chokehold. Both employees were arrested and charged with felony assault. The suspects, who allegedly left the restaurant without paying, were issued a summons for theft. Christopher Cruz, CBS News.
It's 6:27. Time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Hey, let's go on a trip. Let's go to Arizona. We're doing this trip. KMOX listeners and myself, we are going to Arizona to see the Grand Canyon and the Red Rocks of Sedona. Also, the beautiful blue waters of Lake Powell. We'll do a little cruise. This is going to be one of those great trips where you don't have to take 2 weeks off of work and get your passport ready. This is a 5-day adventure in September. We're going to be based in Flagstaff. So I understand in September, Flagstaff is lovely, cooler temperatures, fewer crowds. And the best part for me, other than seeing the Grand Canyon, which I've never seen before and have always wanted to go to Sedona, is that all the details are taken care of for us. So we just enjoy the beautiful scenery, breathtaking scenery. It'll, compared to St. Louis, it'll be like we're on another planet, honestly. So please go to travelwithdebbie.net to get all the information on this trip. Want to make sure that you get on board while you still can. 800-383-3131 is the number to call, or travelwithdebbie.net to book your Arizona escape and see firsthand what makes this country worth exploring. Our 5-day Arizona adventure in September. Get on board by visiting travelwithdebbie.net.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
If you're only good to your new friends, you're not going to have any old ones. Straight Talk gets it.
That's why new and existing customers get free 5G phones on Verizon's 5G network. Pretty simple, really. You keep good people by being good people.
Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
Soulard is going to the dogs. Make sure to bring your four-legged friend to the streets of Soulard for the 33rd annual Purina Pet Parade, the world's largest costume pet parade. It all starts at 12th and Allen, Sunday, February 8th at 1 p.m. And KMOX's own Dave Glover will be leading the pack as the parade's Grand Marshal. Sign up today to march in the parade with your dog. The event supports Open Door Animal Sanctuary. For more details, PurinaPetParade.com. Don't miss this annual St. Louis Mardi Gras tradition, sponsored by Purina.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott, St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
It is 6:30, and right now in downtown St. Louis, we're looking at cloudy skies, also 30 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Roger Brand is in the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
No, there's still no change for the status down in Jefferson County on 55, folks, at Peevely. Southbound is being diverted off at Highway Z because of a crash that occurred a little after 3 this morning closer to McNutt. Northbound Gawkers backed up midway from Highway A up to McNutt, and after that they get on the go. Southbound being diverted off at Z, but we have an injury crash on the exit ramp to Z. And for right now, when I last told you they were letting one lane through, now they're trying to, I think, clear the crash, so even the ramp is shut down. So there's no way to get through at all on southbound 55 on the highway or exiting at Highway Z currently until they get that crash wrapped up. Northbound 55 is slow from Bayless up to River to Pear. A little bit of volume on northbound 270 right through Gravois and around Doherty Ferry and approaching 64, just a couple of slow spots. Southbound 61 a little slow as you approach Wentzville Parkway. Other than that, the rest of the interstates on both sides of the river continue to roll. Next update at 6:40 from the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather-wise, we could possibly see some morning flurries, maybe some freezing drizzle this morning. The rest of the day is just going to be mostly cloudy with a high of 36, 19 overnight, and then sunshine and clouds tomorrow with a high of 31. It's 30 out there right now.
An officer-involved shooting Monday night in the Skinker to Bolivar neighborhood leaves one person dead and another clinging to life. St. Louis City Police responded to the 5700 block of Waterman on a report of a man threatening a woman with a gun. Police spokesperson Mitch McCoy told our news partners at Fox 2.
What you see in that body cam video is an officer responding to a call of a woman who needed help. And that officer doing everything he possibly could to eliminate the threat of a guy that was firing shots. But ultimately, officers tried to save her life in that process.
Police say the woman later died from the suspect's shot. The suspect was critically wounded by an officer, but police were able to stabilize him and get him to a hospital.
A St. Louis man accused of trying to steal cars at a Southern Illinois gas station, then roughing up some officers who tried to arrest him. Mount Vernon police say 46-year-old Aaron Prakaski faces charges of attempted vehicle hijacking, attempted vehicle theft, aggravated battery to a police officer, and more. Police say Prakaski's vehicle broke down on I-64, and he went to the gas station Saturday afternoon to try to take someone else's vehicle.
A battle is brewing between licensed marijuana dispensaries and those convenience stores, which are selling so-called intoxicating hemp. Attorney General Catherine Hanaway supports the license industry's argument, which is that many of those gas station shops are exploiting a labeling loophole to bypass state regulations. This is Ethan, a shop owner, telling Fox 2.
They're just using the name hemp to sell marijuana, or they're synthetically converting and producing this.
A proposed bill would cap THC levels in these hemp products, effectively forcing them off convenience store shelves.
The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. It is 6:33.
Amy,
yes.
I have a real beef with bathroom doors in hotels. The stupid sliding door. No, give me a fully shut door, because the sliding door, you know what happens? There's always a gap.
There's a gap.
And so if you have a partner with you in the hotel room, There are sounds and smells and steam.
It puts a new meaning to the word butt crack.
The Chris and Amy Show, weekdays starting at 9 on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Let's go! You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's 6:35. Your money report from Bloomberg is sponsored by Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. China has banned concealed door handles on electric vehicles, the first country in the world to outlaw a design popularized by Tesla. Cars sold in China will be required to have a mechanical release both on the inside and outside. While the new regulations will only impact EVs sold in China, the country's influence on the global automotive industry means it could happen elsewhere. Checking on stocks, futures are edging higher with tech shares leading the gains. Pepsi and Chipotle are reporting quarterly earnings today. And travel demand in the U.S. is unlikely to catch up to international growth in the near future. The International Air Transport Association says demand will grow by 4.9% around the world, while remaining broadly flat in the U.S. And the Aviation Association expects that trend to last beyond this year. Consolidation, a shortage of planes, and problems in the supply chain are contributing to the stagnation in the American market. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
McKelvey Homes. If you're in the market for a new home, let me tell you about Cottleville Trails. Now, I've known president of McKelvey Homes, Jim Brennan, for years, and this community is something special. 5 lakes, a pool, playground, Francis House schools. You can golf cart or walk to downtown Cottleville for dinner or lunch at Menino's Market, for example. Jim says it's his new favorite sandwich shop, so I looked it up. I did not know about Menino's. Menino's has been butchering meat since 1929. They were founded in Ferguson. Their family is now in the 4th generation of bringing this to St. Louis. They moved from Ferguson to Cottleville in 1998. Now, I'm getting a little off the tracks here, but this is what McKelvey Homes does. They find great areas to live. They find down to the places where you should grab food. Menino's has excellent steaks, I understand. Jim says this is his new favorite. It's a neighborhood where you actually know your neighbors, and that would be Cottleville Trails. McKelvey Homes has them all. McKelveyhomes.com to see it. McKelvey Homes, move up to McKelvey.
Attention all dog owners. If you have ever listened to the radio or TV for any length of time, you've probably heard of America's #1 dog supplement, Rough Greens. Greetings, naturopathy Dr. Dennis Black, Amazon best-selling author and founder of Rough Greens here. And if your dog suffers from bad breath, itchy skin, licking paws, joint pain, or low energy, the truth is their food is probably to blame. You see, all commercial dog food is dead food. That's why I created Rough Greens. 1 daily scoop gives your pup the live vitamins, omega oils, probiotics, and enzymes that will bring their food back to life. Don't believe me? Let your dog try it before you buy it. I'll send you a free Jumpstart trial bag, risk-free. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Use discount code NEWS. Don't wait. Give your dog the gift of vibrant health. Order now. It'll be at your house in a few days. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Discount code NEWS for your free Jumpstart trial bag today. Rough Green. We make any dog food better.
The Humane Society of Missouri's 5th annual Day of Giving is coming up. On February 10th, you'll hear powerful rescue stories of animals fighting to survive and the life-saving work of the Animal Cruelty Task Force. These stories will be shared throughout the day on local TV stations and anytime at hsmo.org/dog. They remind us why your support truly matters. Donations are welcome anytime at hsmo.org/dog. That's hsmo.org/dog.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Tonight, it's men's Pelicans basketball action as they face Davidson. Pregame 7:45, tip at 8 on your home for Pelicans basketball. KMOX.
It is now 6:39, and we're going to check in with Roger Brand here in just a moment. But in a new study, Washington University medicine researchers have shown that vagus nerve stimulation from a small implanted device provides long-lasting improvements for some people with treatment-resistant depression.
I think for these poor individuals who have this super-resistant depression, I think it's enormously good news because there are very few treatments that work for these people, and unfortunately, most of the treatments don't stick.
Lead study author, WashU's Dr. Charles Conway.
Right now, private insurers do cover it frequently, but sometimes you run into resistance from private insurers. But we're hoping that data from this trial will help get us Medicare coverage, and then this will become much more available to people who need it.
The study found the improvements in depressive symptoms were sustained for at least 2 years in the vast majority of patients who reported benefits after 1 year. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
And now Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, a little bit better news on southbound 55. Not great. As traffic reports the service of the Sandberg Phoenix Law Firm, they did clear the crash on the exit from southbound 55 to Z, but that's still where they're diverting the traffic off at Highway Z because of the crash that occurred a little after 3 this morning in McNutt. Still a pretty significant jam, and unfortunately, no police are directing traffic at the bottom of that ramp, so you just have to cycle through the signal, and of course, a jam coming down there means not a lot of traffic gets through on each run through of the signal. Northbound 55, a shorter delay approaching McNutt. No lane blockage on the northbound side. Northbound 55, Union Road overpass up across river to Pears, heavy. North 270 approaching Tesson Ferry to Gravois, approaching Manchester up to Ladou's, kind of busy. Southbound 61, Wentzville Parkway under 64 to the Boulevard. Eastbound 70, approaching Lake St. Louis through Bryan Road. You've got some slow traffic there, and there's a little slow traffic downtown. Westbound 64, west of 3rd Street, headed for the Poplar. Next update at 6:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we're more than just a law firm. We're partners committed to you, your business, and your community. From family law to litigation, we're ready to serve. Visit sandbergphoenix.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
6:42, time to get an update from our AccuWeather meteorologist, Joe Lundberg.
And it looks like today will feature lots of clouds, Debbie. A flurry, maybe a bit of drizzle or spotty freezing drizzle this morning. I think that's going to be exceedingly spotty. Otherwise, again, a lot of clouds, and our high gets to 36. It'll begin to clear a little bit tonight with a low of 19 with some sunshine tomorrow. We'll only get to 31, but that's the cold day of the week. It warms up on Thursday to 42 with clouds and some sunshine. Mostly sunny for Friday to end the week, the high 47. A little chillier Saturday, but not bad, partly sunny. And they still expect us to see 50 degrees plus at some point early to middle of next week. Right now, 31 degrees at St. Peter's, 31 in Florissant, cloudy, 32 downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Savannah Guthrie's mom, 84-year-old Nancy, is still missing at this hour in Arizona. Police believe she was taken against her will from her home late Saturday or early Sunday morning. They still have no motive. CBS News correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti is covering all of it from Tucson.
The sheriff's office escalating their language from abduction to now include kidnapping, which carries the possibility of extortion. It's now been 48 hours since Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home behind me in the middle of the night, 48 hours where she has not had access to life-saving medication.
A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration from revoking deportation protections for 350,000 Haitians.
Those immigrants were scheduled to lose their protections today after Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem decided to end the temporary protected status program for Haitians.
It has always been meant to be temporary, although under the Biden administration, we saw it abused.
In her ruling, Judge Anna Reyes said Noem failed to fully consider the ongoing dangers back in Haiti and cited Noem's recent disparaging remarks about Haiti and immigrants. The administration will ask the Supreme Court to intervene in the case. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell says preparations for Sunday's Super Bowl remain unchanged despite questions about potential immigration and customs enforcement operations. Speaking to reporters, Goodell clarified the game has always been classified with the highest security designation.
Security is obviously one of the things we focus on the most. It's a Tier 1 level event that involves unique assets at the federal level, state level, and the local level, all working together. I see no change in that in the preparations for the Super Bowl.
The Seahawks take on the Patriots in Santa Clara, California, and the game begins at approximately 6 o'clock St. Louis time. Tonight at 8 o'clock, we have the St. Louis Billikens. They are taking on Davidson. The Billikens right now are on fire. They are the talk of college basketball, 21-1 on the season. 9-0 in the Atlantic 10 Conference, 19th in the country in the latest AP Top 25 release yesterday. SLU is taking on Davidson tonight. We'll have the game on KMOX. Again, it's a later one, 8 o'clock tip, 7:45 for the pregame. Southern Illinois at Illinois State. They tip at 6 o'clock tonight in the Missouri Valley Conference. In the Ohio Valley, a couple of good ones here. Both teams 14-9. SIUE at Lindenwood. They'll tip off in St. Charles at 7:30. The Blues lost last night. Final score was 6-5. Problem was they were up 5-1 in the game and lost it. Coach Jim Montgomery answering the question, what happened?
Monty, could you pinpoint where this one turned on you?
I felt that, once they scored their second goal, I didn't feel the same amount of confidence with our players with the puck. We started turning pucks over that I thought we had time and space. And then it just started to snowball. We got 5-3 to the end of the second. We had a chance to regroup. And then after we regrouped in between periods, we didn't come out they were rolling, they were feeling it.
And the Blues gave up 3 goals in the third and lost 6-5 at Nashville. They visit Dallas tomorrow night before the Olympic break. Now back to our coverage of the Brendan Donovan trade. The Cardinals made the deal official yesterday. They traded Brendan Donovan to the Seattle Mariners, and there's another team involved here, the Tampa Bay Rays. So let's start with the player that they received from Seattle that gets the most attention. That would be Sanjay. It's Gerangelo Sanjay. And the Cardinals get him from the Mariners. He is a switch pitcher. It's very interesting how they've landed this pitcher who they expect to pitch right-handed. I wanted to play you a little bit of the audio. I was trying to pull this up. Here it is.
Real rarity in baseball. Gerangelo Sanjay. He is a switch pitcher. Wow. Talk about this guy and where he's at in his development right now.
It's a lot of fun. Definitely probably the most talked about player in our system currently. Throws with both hands, obviously. First round draft pick for us out of Mississippi State last year. Can run it up more of a power arm right-handed, some sink in the slider left-handed. It's a lot of fun to watch.
First ball swinging, Travis Pizzana grounds out, 1 down. One thing Stephen Vogt actually roomed with Pat Vendetti, who was also a switch pitcher. He made it to the big leagues. And he said the amount of work you have to do to keep your arm and your shoulder strong on both sides, your leg work on both sides, some things we don't really think about in terms of the maintenance it takes.
Absolutely.
It is amazing. It's Gerangelo Sanjay. Now, they are expected to have him as a right-handed pitcher, but it's incredible to think that he can throw in the upper 90s, left-handed and right-handed. I mean, when have you ever heard of that? Very, very rare. The Cardinals also get Ty Pete, a slugging outfielder from the Mariners system. Both of those players, Sanjay and Pete, were first-round picks. They get outfielder Colton Ledbetter from the Rays. He's a minor league prospect, Double-A. and 2 compensation round B draft selections. So 5 players for Donovan, who, as we all know, was tremendous, an all-star, gold glover, and a silver slugger finalist. Much more on this trade coming up in the Gas House Gang at noon. I'm Tom Ackerman on the home of the Cardinals and Billikens, 104.1 FM KMOX.
100 years. That's how long Overhead Door Company of St. Louis has been repairing and replacing garage doors. A century of trust in St. Louis. Always look for the iconic red ribbon of Overhead Door Company of St. Louis for same-day repair service and no extra charge for evening or Saturday service. Trust your friends at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. That's overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Hey, St. Louis City SC fans, mark your calendars now. The Boys in Red return to Energizer Park to kick off Season 4 Saturday, February 21st. And you could be there for the dawn of a new golden era of St. Louis soccer. Go to stlcitysc.com/tickets and reserve your seat now for the MLS home opener versus Charlotte FC. Limited quantities remain. See you soon, St. Louis.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you are facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
The Humane Society of Missouri's Day of Giving is just around the corner. On this day, your favorite local TV station will highlight incredible rescue stories of animals fighting to survive, stories of courage, resilience, and hope. Visit the Humane Society website to watch these powerful stories and see the life-saving work made possible by compassionate donors like you. These stories underscore why it's so vital to support the HSMO. Go to KMOX.com/events today for more information.
Now the news at 9, The Talk. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
6:51, here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, still no change down in Jefferson County, Debbie. Unfortunately, southbound 55 remains closed at Highway Z because of an overnight crash that happened in McNutt. You have to exit at Highway Z. At least the crash on the exit ramp has been cleared. Southbound 55 is jammed about midway back to Highway M, so you may just want to bail out at M and take 61, 67 down all the way through McNutt. And right now, that looks good. There are really no significant delays or even slowdowns on 61, 67 as an alternate route, so that's a good way to go. Northbound 55, just a little bit of a slowdown coming through McNutt past the southbound scene. And then you've got the normal delays on northbound 55, Bayless up to River to Perry, a little slow past Loughborough. North 270 as you ramp on from 55 is a little slow, and then approaching Gravois. Doherty Ferry to Manchester, approaching Clayton Road up to Ladou's busy. Southbound 61 midway between P and Wentzville Parkway on the 64th. The Boulevard's heavy. Eastbound 70 from 64 all the way into Bryan Road. There's some volume. And westbound 64 on the Illinois side, slow 3rd Street to the Poplar. Next update at 6:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Couple of morning flurries, says Joe Lundberg. Maybe some freezing drizzle today. Considerable cloudiness, chilly, high 36. Tonight, cloudy and cold, low 19. Tomorrow, cold, high 31. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're warming up to the tune of 47 at its peak on Friday with a mostly sunny sky, says Joe Lundberg. Currently, we have clouds in downtown St. Louis. It's 30 degrees.
The news continues at 6:52. Any day now, construction will begin on a new grocery store in Venice, Illinois. It's being built with a $2.4 million grant from the Illinois Grocery Initiative.
It's what they call a public option grocery store. It's something new that they are trying, the state is trying it, and hopefully that it would kind of take off. And what it is that the city will always own the building and the land, and private investors that will come in to run the grocery store, they will be investing in running the stores.
Venice Mayor Philip White tells us the grocery store is just a piece of an overall plan that includes adding homes and a medical center.
No, it does the body good.
The Missouri Dairy Council is praising a new federal decision that will change what students can drink at school.
President Trump has approved bringing whole milk and 2% milk back to public school cafeterias, options that had been off the menu for more than a decade. Alfred Brandt, executive director of the Missouri Dairy Growth Council, says the previous restrictions left schools serving skim and low-fat milk, products he describes as far less flavorful.
So by putting whole milk back in schools where it's a tasteful product, where kids actually consume it, and it's got all that whole fat dairy in it, it's going to create more generational milk drinkers.
President Trump signed the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act earlier this month. Federal officials say students could see the fuller fat option within weeks. Beth Coughlin, KMOX News.
From dairy to soft drinks, Coca-Cola is rolling out a new flavor and bringing back a blast from the past. We get that from CBS's Jesse Mitchell.
Get ready for Coca-Cola's newest flavor, Cherry Float. The new soft drink, which also comes in a zero sugar version, adds a twist on the traditional Coke cherry flavor with a hint of smooth, creamy vanilla. The company is also bringing back an old favorite, Diet Coke Cherry. All three will be available at retailers nationwide this month.
The music world is mourning another legend's death.
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do.
That song, One, was the first of 10 top 10 hits for Three Dog Night and lead singer Chuck Negron in a string of success that stretched from 1969 to 1974 and included 3 number-1 songs. His publicist says Negron died at his home in Los Angeles from complications of heart failure and COPD. He was 83. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement. It's your birthday.
And he checks at third, and here's the 2-2 pitch. Swinging a shot into the right field corner. If it's fair, it's trouble. It is fair, and the Cardinals lead 1-0. Schumacher with his 6th hit in this series into second base with an RBI double. Big base hit. And Schumacher has really been something in this series. He's 6 out of 9 with 3 runs batted in.
From the 2011 NLDS, Skip Schumacher with that incredible hit in Philadelphia, and the Cardinals went on to win that game and that series. Skip, who is now the manager of the Texas Rangers, is 46 today.
The birthday shout-out is sponsored by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back, family-owned and top-rated, RennerDoorSTL.com. Happy birthday wishes going out to Cindy Gilly Rowley, Jane Gabatz, also Dan Buffa, Beth Tuttle, Bernie Michaelis, and Samantha Ladd.
This is the best birthday ever.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-894-7722. That's 800-894-7722. Again, 800-894-7722.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. YourEyeDoc.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Roger Brand, you're in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom, southbound 55 still shut down at Highway Z. It's jammed up almost midway back to Highway M. Southbound 61, 67 is a good alternate. Northbound 55 is a little slow at McNutt, Bayless up to River to Pear. North 270, Doherty Ferry up to 64 slow. Southbound 61 jammed Wentzville Parkway into 64, and it's slow to 364. Next update at 7:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Today is Tuesday, the 2nd of February. I'm Debbie Monterrey, and the Olympics are coming. St. Louis soccer history will be made in the summer of 2028. We get those details after CBS News.
Governor Mike Kehoe is proposing more cuts to transit. I'm Maria Aquina with why Citizens for Modern Transit say that's a bad deal.
Cardinals TV this year, still on cable, more streaming, more over the air.
We're glad to be able to provide clarity to our fans.
I'm Michael Calhoun with the latest.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. We'll get the very latest on the Brendan Donovan trade at 7:15.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. Cloudy and chilly today. A few flurries this morning, the high 36.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. The voice of St. Louis.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Today Show host Savannah Guthrie is now in Tucson working with Pima County officials who are searching for her mother after she failed to show up for church Sunday. Correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti is there.
The sheriff's office escalating their language from abduction to now include kidnapping, which carries the possibility of extortion. It's now been 48 hours since Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home in the middle of the night, 48 hours where she has not had access to life-saving medication.
Savannah Guthrie posted to Instagram overnight asking followers to pray for her mother. Democrats are concerned after President Trump said he may try to interfere with this year's midterm elections. He made his comments on former Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino's podcast.
We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
Elections are run by states. Mr. Trump referenced Georgia, where the FBI recently raided a Fulton County election center. It's unclear what they were looking for. The family of one of Jeffrey Epstein's most vocal accusers is speaking out after the Justice Department released more files on the convicted sex offender last Friday. Sky Roberts, brother of the late Virginia Giuffre, tells CBS Mornings.
What they're doing is straight and flat out illegal. They're redacting the names of perpetrators and they're unredacting the names of victims.
The DOJ says it's working around the clock to remove survivors' names. Giuffre died by suicide in April. A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration from revoking deportation protections for 350,000 Haitians.
Those immigrants were scheduled to lose their protections today after Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem decided to end the temporary protected status program for Haitians.
It has always been meant to be temporary, although under the Biden administration, we saw it abused.
In her ruling, Judge Anna Reyes said Noem failed to fully consider the ongoing dangers back in Haiti and cited Noem's recent disparaging remarks about Haiti and immigrants. The administration will ask the Supreme Court to intervene in the case. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
The Super Bowl's less than 6 days away, and the quarterbacks met with reporters in San Jose, California. The Patriots' Drake May is thanking the guys around him for his success.
Teammates, just having, learning them, getting to go to work with them each and every day, and that's I think it's, knowing what your teammates are going to do.
He'll be looking to best the Seahawks, Sam Darnold.
Everything I do, I just take it one day at a time, and I think that's kind of the mantra for myself and what I've been able to do, I guess, over the last couple of years.
This is CBS News.
Follow and listen to CBS Mornings on the go on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy place every
Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-959-3388. That's 800-959-3388.
At 7:04, cloudy and 30 downtown at the Arch. I'm Tom Ackerman, and these are the stories making news. Well, it's a big turn of Olympic competition to St. Louis. We hosted the Olympic Games in St. Louis in 1904, and while a few things have changed since then, we know that these games will showcase the absolute best of our city. The mayor goes on to say people will be traveling from around the world to our great city to experience our food, our culture, and our community. We can't wait to welcome them. Again, one of 7 host locations for Olympic soccer matches in 2028. Energizer Park will be known as St. Louis Stadium for those competitions here.
Meanwhile, Major League Baseball is taking over the broadcast booth at Busch Stadium.
I think it signifies a new beginning in some ways.
The league is going to produce and distribute all in-market Cardinals games for this season. The deal keeps the team on cable and satellite providers while launching an app that lets fans stream every game for $20 a month or $100 for the season. Card's senior VP Anouk Karutnaratne says while the business model is changing, the voices on the air will not.
We don't expect any significant changes. Obviously we've got Chip and Brad and Mark Sweeney in the booth, and we expect them to be back this year.
The broadcasts will also feature upgraded tech, including live drones and umpire cameras. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
The full conversation with Anouk Karutnaratne at the start of the Gas House Gang yesterday on KMOX. The deadline to apply for the Private Property Assistance Program and right-of-way debris pickup in the tornado zone is February 14th.
Chief Recovery Officer Julian Nick says all incomes are eligible and it does not matter whether or not you have insurance.
We've also heard a lot of fears around people thinking that this may be an attempt to take property. It is not that. What we will do is we will take your application in, review the services that's been directly requested, and we'll send out certified experts to do structural inspections to check to see what can happen and what's realistic with your property.
Nick says any decisions will be made alongside property owners as they move through the program. The initial deadline of February 14th is only to make sure the city has the application. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
From the KMOX business desk, Fenton-based Panera Bread continuing to close its fresh dough facilities. Next month, a suburban Boston bakery facility will close, eliminating 92 jobs. The company will close all of its fresh dough facilities over the next year or two, going instead with Par Bake Bread, shipping frozen bread to restaurants that will finish baking on site.
It's part of Panera's turnaround plan that coincides with a 5% drop in sales in 2025. The internet is awash with customers complaining that quality has gone down while prices have gone up.
It is 7:07, and we'll check traffic and weather for you coming up next.
It is Zero Res's Month of Love sale. Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the biggest air filter in your home. If the carpet hasn't been professionally cleaned, you're breathing unhealthy levels of nasty dirt, dander, bacteria, and germs that keep recirculating again and again. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119. Take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and say you want the KMOX special.
Hey, Happy New Year, big boy. Hey, what's up, Izzy? Also known as the Kool-Aid Man.
You got any New Year's resolutions?
I got one, Eddie. I've promised myself to spend more time on that toasty warm, huge, heated outdoor patio of yours. It's nothing like having your coat off, drinking the coldest beer in town with hundreds of your family, friends.
Man, it is a toasted patio, and that's a great resolution. And, thanks for not mentioning things like weight loss and health kick. And those would be hard in Fast Eddie's. It'd be hard to lose any kind of weight or take away from anything when you got the 5-pound Fat Eddie burger, the hot chick on a stick, that big Elwood on a stick, and those succulent peel and eat shrimp.
Yeah, I am not losing any weight hanging around your place. I learned it's a lot easier just to make those resolutions simple and fun, buddy.
Man, and that's easy. You're right. That's a great resolution. So make your resolution fun. And head on over to Fast Eddie's Bon Air. You know where to go across that big, beautiful Clark Bridge and come into Alton, Illinois. So like Mr. Shannon always said, if you're 21 and in the mood, we'll see you at Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Kool-Aid Man.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
This is Harry Carey from the beautiful new Busch Memorial Stadium.
From moment to memory.
Cardinal football on the move.
Among those voices, Bob Hamilton.
When I was in high school, I decided I wanted to go to radio.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
I just had someone text me and said, hey, I just heard that MLB took over the broadcast of the Cardinals. Does that mean KMOX is no longer the voice of the Cardinals? No. No and no. Let's just make sure that we get the message out. That is the television side.
Yes.
So just so we understand, Major League Baseball is taking over producing the television broadcasts. And in terms of distribution on your channels, satellite and cable, those are going to be announced here shortly. We've discussed already the streaming platform, which is Cardinals.tv, but MLB is taking over the production of those broadcasts. KMOX will have every game. We will have spring training games. And at some point, when this team gets back to the machine it used to be, we will have postseason World Series games. The Brendan Donovan trade in depth coming up in 5 minutes.
Right now, let's get you caught up on your ride in. And here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, there's still no change with our initial trouble spot, folks, that happened in the 3 a.m. hour, about 4 hours ago, actually, from right now. Southbound 55 at McNutt, a tractor-trailer crash that eventually closed down the interstate, and it's still closed at 7:10 a.m. Southbound 55, you're being diverted off at Highway Z. The jam goes about midway back to Highway M. You may as well get off at M. 61, 67 southbound, it isn't really that bad. There's not too many places it's slowing down, all the way down through Highway A or down to where it rejoins 55 in Festus there. So the choice is yours, but I'd get off sooner than later. Obviously, get off on Highway M and avoid that jam on southbound 55 because, like I said, it's still shut down at Highway Z. Northbound, a little slow through McNutt, looking at the southbound wrap-up to that overnight crash. And then northbound 55 is typically slow. Bayless up to River to Pear. Northbound 270 north of Manchester up to Ladouze, heavy. Southbound 61, midway between P and Winslow Parkway into 64 to the Boulevards, heavy. Eastbound 70A through Bryan Road is pretty slow. And eastbound 44 approaching the Poplar, westbound 70 past the Mutual Veterans Bridge, just a little busy downtown. Next update is 7:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
A couple of flurries this morning. There can even be a few places with freezing drizzle early. Otherwise, mostly cloudy today and chilly, the high 36. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight, low down to 19. A cold day tomorrow with intervals of clouds and sun and a high of 31. Thursday, clouds and some sunshine and not quite so cold in the afternoon, the high 42. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Cloudy sky, 30 degrees downtown at the Arch.
A domestic dispute call in the Skinker de Bolivar neighborhood Monday night ended with St. Louis City Police wounding a man who shot and killed a woman in front of them. This happened about 8 last night in the 5700 block of Waterman.
When officers face danger, they do it professionally, they do it quickly, and they do everything they can to save human lives.
That is police spokesperson Mitch McCoy, who says efforts to save the woman were unsuccessful, but authorities were able to get the man to a hospital. He is said to be in critical, unstable condition. No names have yet been released.
Few details have been released about a Monday afternoon shooting death in the West End neighborhood of St. Louis. Police say a man was gunned down in the 5900 block of Julian. That's between Skinker and Goodfellow. No word on any suspects.
A former prep basketball coach has admitted to sending sexually explicit photos to students. 29-year-old Lee Bogan Jr. told a federal court he used a social media app to contact high schoolers in the spring of 2024. Diana Edwards with the U.S. Attorney's Office in St. Louis spoke with Fox 2 about the courage it took for MICDS students to come
They
forward.
realized that this sort of contact with a school official was inappropriate and not normal, and they spoke up and spoke out and got appropriate help.
Prosecutors say Bogan was unaware the minors took screenshots of those explicit photos he sent before they disappeared. He faces from 5 to 20 years in federal prison. State charges are still pending in St. Louis County.
Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway is seeking a federal court order to bar non-citizens from being counted in the 2020 U.S. Census. She told our sister station KFTK that federal funding and congressional seats depend on an accurate count.
If we have a binding court order, then we can stop counting illegal immigrants forever, and Missouri can get its fair share.
Hanaway is also suing the Commerce Department over the 2020 census count, which included illegal immigrants.
St. Louisan Ed Martin has been demoted after President Trump withdrew Martin's nomination for U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. He was put in charge of going after Trump's enemies as chair of the Weaponization Working Group. According to the Washington Post, Martin has also lost his title as an assistant attorney general, will no longer work at the Justice Department headquarters, but will continue as a pardon attorney.
Great to hear. Not surprised. Swing and a hard hit ball to right field. Did he get it? Yeah, he did. Into the Cardinals bullpen. Big fly. Brendan Donovan. 3-0 Cardinals. Their second solo shot of the night. A leadoff home run for Donnie, his 10th of the year.
How many times did we see it happen? Brendan Donovan turning on a pitch. Brendan Donovan slamming one to the opposite field. Brendan Donovan diving at second base or in left field or at third base or wherever they put him. Donovan was a tremendous player for this Cardinals team, and he has been traded. The Cardinals have been on a mission to replenish their minor league system, and they added not one, not two, not three, 5 players for Brendan Donovan. The Cardinals announced last night they completed a 3-team trade with the Mariners and the Rays. They acquired a pitcher, 2 outfielders, and 2 draft picks for Donovan. Here is the breakdown. First of all, Gerangelo Senja, originally drafted by the Mariners as an ambidextrous pitcher. He throws lefty and righty, but he's expected to throw righty as he continues to ascend through the system. He landed at Double-A at the end of last year and has upper 90s on his right-handed pitches, number 7 prospect in the Mariners organization by Baseball America. Ty Pete, also a first-round draft pick. Senja was in the 2024 draft, Pete in the 2023 draft. He's a slugging outfielder, left-handed bat, comes over from the Mariners. They also received Colton Ledbetter from the Rays. Second-round pick for Tampa Bay in the 2023 draft. He's a left-handed hitting outfielder who advanced to Double-A last year. He also has a lot of power, 25 home runs, 126 RBIs in his early going in the minor leagues. They also received 2 compensation round B draft selections. The Cardinals received those from both the Mariners and the Rays, currently projected as picks number 68 and 72 in the 2026 draft. All of that for Donovan, who is very valuable. 29-year-old, played 4 seasons. He was an all-star. He was a Gold Glove winner. He was a Gold Glove finalist later and a Silver Slugger Award finalist, and he ends up going to the Seattle Mariners. He will make them better, but according to Chaim Bloom, it says, we are pleased that because of this deal, we will add 5 more promising young players to the talent pipeline that has always fueled this organization's sustained success. Much more on the trade coming up on the Gas House Gang today at noon. Bernie Miklas and Chris Ranji join me for that 1-hour show. The Billikens play tonight on KMOX. They take on Davidson. We've heard a lot from Josh Schertz Now we're hearing from him that there is an illness that's been going through the Billikens locker room over the last few weeks, just sort of sporadically hitting players here and there. Brady Dunlap got it. Now Robbie Avila has it. We'll see what his game playing status is today, if he's feeling a little bit better for tonight's game. 8 o'clock tip, 7:45 pregame. Billikens have been elevated to number 19 in the country in the latest AP Top 25. Illinois moved up to 5 in the rankings yesterday. Also in college basketball tonight, Southern Illinois at Illinois State. 6 o'clock tip-off in the Missouri Valley Conference. And in the OVC, SIUE visits Lindenwood tonight. Great game out in St. Charles for a 7:30 tip. The Blues were up 5-1 last night at Nashville and lost 6-5. We'll hear from Jim Montgomery on what happened coming up at 7:45. I'm Tom Ackerman on the Voice of the Cardinals and Billikens, 104.1 FM KMOX.
February 10th is the Humane Society of Missouri's annual Day of Giving, bringing attention to animal abuse and neglect and the heartbreaking conditions many animals endure before help arrives. Through powerful rescue stories, you'll see the reality of neglect, suffering, and abuse, and how compassion and support will help give animals a second chance. Watch these true rescue stories today and donate at hsmo.org/dog. That's hsmo.org/dog.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Now, the news. At 1, the fun. It's the Dave Glover Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Roger Brand, Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, unfortunately, Tom, there's still no change with our crash southbound 55 at Highway. Well, the crash was at McNutt, but southbound 55 is still shut down at Highway Z. They're diverting traffic off there. Traffic's jammed midway back to Highway M. 61, 67 is an alternate route. It's kind of heavy both sides of Highway Z and a little slow at McNutt, but obviously it's worlds better than southbound 55. Northbound's a little slow coming through McNutt, looking at the overnight southbound crash that was there. And then your heavy Butler Hill up to 270, at least the right lanes, bogged down again from Union Road overpass all the way up to Virginia. Northbound 270 is a ramp on 55 is busy. Tesson Ferry to Gravois, Big Bend all the way up. We got trouble now north of Manchester. There's a crash northbound 270. It's actually south of 64. It's blocking the 2 left lanes, so we're starting to get a jam, like I said, at Manchester due to that most recent trouble spot. Southbound 61 on the break south of Highway P down through Wentzville Parkway. Busy on to 64 at the Boulevard, Clarkson to Timberlake. Westbound 64 Hampton through Big Bend's a little slow. Eastbound 70 east of Wentzville Parkway into 64 is crowded. It's slow Lake St. Louis through Bryan Road, a little heavy at TR Hughes. Downtown westbound 64, the 70 split to 3rd Street and onto the Poplar. There's heavier traffic. Next update is 7:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
The weather today, we could potentially see a couple of flurries or maybe some freezing drizzle this morning. Otherwise, just a cloudy day with a high of 36, 19 overnight. Clouds and sun 31 tomorrow. And for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're back up into the 40s. Right now, it's 30 degrees in downtown St. Louis.
It's 7:22. KMOX has told you about the February 14th deadline if you have been affected by the May tornado. But there is something else the city's chief recovery officer, Julian Nix, says is very important.
The Valentine's Day deadline is to get an application in for the private property assistance program, but there is something else Nick says the city needs help with.
I know there's been also a lot of questions around why the deadline, why now, why so quick. This deadline is largely driven by FEMA-oriented deadlines that's required around $156 million that we found out about in early January. We announced the deadline, for many of you know, in mid-January, and we are kind of pushing our timeline to make sure that we can hit the timelines required for broader state funding. But I wanted to send a very clear message. Our goal is for everyone who is eligible, for everyone in their neighborhood, to get their properties fixed. This deadline is trying to make sure we can make as many of those individuals possible and eligible under the FEMA funding. We will continue to work with residents who missed the deadline. Our intention is to support all the residents where we can, and this effort is just to try to drive that urgency to make sure we can get as many applications in by the deadline. I also wanted to share a little bit more information for the public. We need help. We will be doing a lot more work to do outreach, whether that be both door knocking, getting materials out into public spaces, attending community meetings. But the biggest issue we have is we have a lot of properties where the landlords or the owners may no longer be in that property. So knocking on the door is not sufficient. Our contact information, whether it be from FEMA or whether it be from our internal databases, for a lot of those contacts are not accurate. We're getting a lot of disconnects. So if you know a neighbor, a place who has not registered, we would love for you to be able to contact us and provide us with that respective information. So the ways that people can do that is, one, we have launched a dashboard online for you to be able to see at app.sclrecovers.com. You can see on that who are the people that have applied in your neighborhood and also who are the people that aren't. What we're asking is that if you know someone whose property does not apply, you know that person, to one, encourage them to apply, or if you also have their information, to please share that information with us. They can do that by calling the call center, which is 833-925-0977. They can visit the Outreach Center on Natural Bridge at 4401 Natural Bridge, and they can flag those properties and let us know who that owner is, any context they have on the property, so we can do our best work to try to get as many people registered as possible.
Now, the delivery of services has not started in scale as the city and state are hiring and onboarding contractors, but work is expected to accelerate in March after the contractors are hired. The private property assistance program is a city-led program with state and federal funding and execution support that helps property owners who do not have enough funding to, one, stabilize and repair damaged properties to habitability where feasible, demolish structures that are unsafe or beyond repair, and three, remove tornado-related debris and hazardous trees from private property. Maria Kina, KMOX News.
New hope of lasting relief for people with treatment-resistant depression.
In a new study, WashU medicine researchers have shown that a small implanted device that provides vagus nerve stimulation leads to long-lasting improvements for some participants with the most severe treatment-resistant depression. Lead study author Dr. Charles Conway.
Everybody was implanted with a vagus nerve stimulator. Half of them were turned on, half of them were not. We looked at the patients who were in the active treatment arm of the study in the second year, and what we found was that 80% of those who responded at the end of year one were continuing to respond at the end of year two.
On average, each of those patients had tried 13 other treatments that failed to help them. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
It's 7:26. Another benefit from a diabetes medication.
New research shows the drug semaglutide may reduce the risk of heart failure for people with type 2 diabetes. A study published in JAMA looked at nearly 10,000 participants. Patients had a lower risk of heart failure if they were taking oral semaglutide compared with patients taking a placebo. Heart failure is a common complication of diabetes.
That's CBS correspondent Michael George. It's 7:26. Time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Let's go!
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Soulard is going to the dogs. Make sure to bring your four-legged friend to the streets of Soulard for the 33rd annual Purina Pet Parade, the world's largest costume pet parade. It all starts at 12th and Allen, Sunday, February 8th at 1 p.m. And KMOX's own Dave Glover will be leading the pack as the parade's Grand Marshal. Sign up today to march in the parade with your dog. The event supports Open Door Animal Sanctuary. For more details, PurinaPetParade.com. Don't miss this annual St. Louis Mardi Gras tradition, sponsored by Purina.
Dreaming of college but worried about the cost? The Together Foundation is here to help. The Together Foundation is awarding 5 $1,500 scholarships to St. Louis area students who are ready to take the next step toward their future. Applying is simple, but time is limited, as applications will be accepted through March 31st. Learn more or apply at togethercu.org/scholarship. That's togethercu.org/scholarship. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
I hear from sellers all the time that they fear they have missed out on the selling market. They are so relieved to learn September, October, and November are strong selling months. With low inventory and hopefully lower interest rates, this fall will be a hot one for real estate. I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. You may have heard me say, why pay more than 4 for years? Now it's why pay more than 2, saving you even more money. Call me 314-441-4444. And remember, why pay more than 2?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri, Kansas, and Nevada.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
The smartest way to spend your money is not to. Straight Talk offers free 5G phones for new and existing customers on Verizon's 5G network. So the refund money I don't spend on that free phone is the refund money I get to keep for my family. Smart.
Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
Who's been talking about St. Louis sports since 1985? Bernie Miklasz.
The most important thing you can have in football is a great quarterback. And yeah, the head coach benefits. But Bill Belichick also drafted Tom Brady, and he chose Tom Brady as his starter over Drew Bledsoe when Drew Bledsoe was still pretty good. And it all comes from a place where people just can't stand Bill Belichick.
Bernie Miklasz. Hear what he has to say on the voice of the St. Louis Cardinals. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is 7:30, and we've got cloudy skies, 30 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Roger Brand in the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom, finally some good news for southbound 55 drivers. They cleared the crash at McNutt. It's hard for me to tell. I mean, the lanes are open at Z, so traffic's getting through. But when they get down to McNutt, where the crash overnight happened, it looks like they're scooting out of the left lane, so they may still be doing some cleanup work. So 2 lanes open initially at Z, and then it looks like you funnel down to 1 lane, but at least traffic is getting through. Again, it's jammed midway back to Highway M on South 55. North 55 barely has a slowdown there. North 55 is busy. Butler Hill up to 270 in the right lanes. At least we have a minor crash reported or a stall at River to Pear. North 55 backed up at the Union Road overpass up to that one. North 270 is your ramp on from 55. Pretty much all the way up to Doherty Ferry is slow, and then it jams north of Doherty Ferry because of that crash. North 270 before 64 is blocking the 2 left lanes. Southbound 270, Olive down to 64 is busy. Eastbound 70, Wentzville Parkway into Z is a little slow. Approaching Lake St. Louis or east of A through Bryan Road, there's a little slowdown east of 94. Southbound 61 backed up at Highway P, midway down to Wentzville Parkway, but it remains heavy onto 64 at the Boulevard. Annie Guns to about Timberlake, and heavy McKnight to Big Bend. Westbound 64 Hampton to Big Bend slow, and downtown westbound 64 at Ball Avenue 5570 at Exchange. There's a couple of heavy spots headed for the Poplar. Next update at 7:40 from the overhead door company at St. Louis Traffic Center.
This morning and the rest of today, just considerable cloudiness, and we could see a high of 36 degrees. 19 overnight, clouds and sun 31 tomorrow, and then back up into the 40s for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Right now it's 30 degrees downtown.
The 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. The final soccer matches will take place at the Rose Bowl, but earlier games will be played at stadiums across the United States, including right here in St. Louis, the home of St. Louis City SC Energizer Park is one of 7 sites announced today.
Other host cities include Nashville, Columbus, New York City, San Diego, and San Jose. Dates and locations for both the women's and men's Olympic soccer tournaments will be announced before ticket sales begin in April.
The CEO of Citizens for Modern Transit and executive director of the Missouri Transit Association is sounding the alarm about a proposed funding cut at the state level and how it would impact transit providers across Missouri.
Kim Sella calls Governor Mike Kehoe's budget recommendation a catastrophic loss for Missouri.
After reducing state funding last year by 42%, Maria, the governor is now proposing to zero out general revenue for public transit, leaving just $1.7 million to be split among 30 transit providers across the state.
Sella says the per capita funding of transit is going to drop from $1.89 to 27 cents under Governor Kehoe's current proposal. This will affect senior citizens, the disabled, people in rural communities, and people who rely on public transportation, especially to get to work. Yesterday, the Missouri House Budget Committee held hearings. Sella says to stop these transportation cuts from passing, citizens must call your state representatives and state senators to let them know you do not support seeing Missouri transit funding cut by 85%. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Ness Sandoval, a demographer at St. Louis University, says Missouri has been in demographic winter since 2020. The negative effects of this include not having enough workers to fill essential jobs and not having enough working people to support a growing population of seniors and retirees.
Growth at the U.S. level starting to slow down fairly significantly. And so it's going to be very difficult for states to grow.
The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts. michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Your Money Minute next.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu, the daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
It is 7:35, and this is Total Information AM. I'm Debbie Monterrey, along with Tom Ackerman, and it's time for your Money Minute from Bloomberg, sponsored by Busey Bank.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Robotaxi pioneer Waymo is hitting the accelerator with a cash infusion. The company has raised $16 billion in new funding. Waymo has opened up a clear commercial lead in autonomous ride-hailing, running fully driverless fare-charging services in about half a dozen cities. Waymo is now providing more than 400,000 paid rides per week. The company plans a rapid expansion across the U.S. and into the U.K. this year. Checking on your money this morning, tech shares are leading the way, sending S&P futures higher. Strong earnings from data analytics giant Palantir is supporting the markets. And avocados are the cheapest they've been in ages ahead of the Super Bowl. Prices are down more than 19% from a year ago, according to Circana. The U.S. is on track to import around 290 million pounds of the fruit from Mexico in the 4 weeks leading up to the game. That would be the most ever. Mexico had a bumper crop last year following plenty of rainfall. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
For nearly 100 years, Busey Wealth Management has helped families and businesses make smart financial decisions that stand the test of time. From personalized investment plans to tax strategies that work for you, we take a big picture approach, connecting you with the right experts to help protect what you've built and plan for what's next. Busey Wealth Management, here for every chapter of your financial story.
In times that feel uncertain, music can bring us together. Join the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra for Prokofiev and Giles' Anthems of Resilience. Experience a shared journey of hope through Prokofiev's Symphony No. 5, Rena Esmail's Remember, and Billy Child's Diaspora. featuring saxophonist Stephen Banks. February 6th and 7th at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
I'm Dr. Colleen Bosler with the Audiology Center, and I'm talking with my associate, Dr. Adam Voss. What happens to a person's brain when they ignore their hearing loss?
There is such a strong connection between the ear and the brain. Ignoring your hearing loss can cause the brain to become lazy and the speech areas in the brain to shrink. This is partially why you can hear the words, but you cannot understand them. If a hearing loss goes untreated for too long, it may cause an irreversible change in the brain. It is incredibly important to have your hearing screened at 60 or older, or sooner if you're noticing difficulty. And the sooner someone treats their hearing loss, the better and quicker their brain will adapt to hearing sound again. Studies show that those who get hearing aids, even with a mild hearing loss, are much more successful hearing aid users as compared to those that wait longer.
So call us today to get your comprehensive hearing evaluation with one of our doctors. 636-441-7470, or visit us online, theaudiologycenterstl.com.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey, it's Dave. Right now, buy 2 windows and get 2 free and 0% financing for 36 months, plus $500 off your project. Call 314-334-2522. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott, St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
This is the Gas House Gang from KMOX.
Bernie Nicholas and the Gas House Gang, today at noon on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Today, we'll be talking about the Brendan Donovan trade with Bernie. That'll be coming up at 7:45, a little bit more on that. And then, as mentioned, Bernie on the Gas House Gang today at noon. Roger Brand, you're in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, we still got left lane issues out there, Tom, right now. Southbound 55, they reopened the highway at Highway Z, but they're still doing some cleanup down past the crash scene before McNutt. So left lane is closed at the scene. It looks like we also have an incident now south of Highway M. So there's a short jam up south of M, and then Z down through McNutt. It's bumper to bumper. At least it's getting through. But again, the left lane blocked at that crash scene before McNutt. North 270 from 55 to 44 is slow, but then it's a jam from 44 all the way up to this crash south of 64 that still has the 2 left lanes closed. South 270 from 364 down to Ladue, that's busy. Eastbound 70, a little heavy coming in from Wentzville Parkway. There's slow stuff almost all the way into Highway K, 94 into Earth City. Southbound 61 midway from P to Wentzville Parkway onto 64 to Lake St. Louis Boulevard's heavy. Boone's Crossing to Timberlake. There's a slow down Ballast to Spady, and then heavy east of Lindbergh through the Intervelt south 170, south of Delmar, slow down to 64. Westbound 64, Science Center out to Hanley. You've got some heavy traffic. 55 northbound, you've got the usual delays running up from Bayless to River to Pear. And there's a little slowdown at Virginia. 64 at Ball Avenue and 5570 at 203 is slow heading across the Poplar. Musial Veterans Bridge looks okay. And seeing backed up traffic on Telegraph, not a complete jam, but north of Herb all the way up to Pottle, a lot of traffic congestion running that route right now. And also, it looks like we have an incident westbound 270. They were clearing an incident, a crash, it looks like, or a stall just before Route 3. You're jammed at 255. A lot of traffic out there right now. Next update at 7:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
7:41, and time for us to check in with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Joe Lundberg. I see it's a little breezy out there. So far, I'm not seeing, I don't think, any precipitation downtown.
Nope, so far, so good. We've avoided it thus far, and I think we get through the next couple of hours. I think we're going to be good for the rest of the day. A bit on the brisk side, it's kind of a northeast wind, and that's usually a sign of some chilly weather, and that's what we're going to experience today. With clouds for the most part, you'll see a little bit of sun, but I don't think it's going to amount to very much. And temperature will only go up a few degrees from where we're at now to maybe 36. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight. A little bit colder when you wake up tomorrow morning. You'll feel it, the low about 19. A cold day tomorrow, the coldest day of the week with clouds. Some sunshine and a high of 31. Now, the cold starts to ease up a little bit beginning on Thursday. With clouds and some sun, we get to 42. Sunny or for Friday up to 47, and at least partly sunny on Saturday. Temperatures low to mid 40s. I do see some milder weather on the way for next week. Currently 30 at St. Peter's, 31 in Florissant, mostly cloudy, 32 downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's 7:42. New comments from President Trump are adding to concerns among Democrats that he may try to interfere with this year's midterm elections. Speaking on a conservative podcast, Trump suggested Republicans take over the voting in multiple states. CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes with more.
The president made these new comments about the election process during an appearance on the podcast of his former FBI deputy director, Dan Bongino. And in the conversation, the president repeated baseless claims about undocumented immigrants voting. Then he called for Republicans to nationalize elections in a large swath of the country.
The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. And we have states that are so crooked, and they're counting votes. We have states that I won that show I didn't win. Now you're going to see something in Georgia where they were able to get, with a court order, the ballots. You're going to see some interesting things come out.
Elections, of course, are run by the states, not the federal government, and there has been no evidence of widespread voter fraud, a fact that has been proven in court case after court case where Trump has escalated those claims.
A breakthrough in the standoff between House Republicans and Bill and Hillary Clinton. The House Oversight Committee chairman had threatened them with contempt of Congress charges after they rejected a subpoena to testify about their ties to Jeffrey Epstein. But now they've reached a deal. We get that from CBS's Nicole Killian.
The Clintons' legal team says the former first couple will testify so long as the House does not move forward with a contempt vote. The agreement follows months of negotiations with the House Oversight Committee, which subpoenaed them last August. The panel moved forward with contempt resolutions after the Clintons did not appear for depositions last month as part of its probe into the Jeffrey Epstein case.
Well, as mentioned in the news, St. Louis and Olympic City going back to 1904 when we hosted the first summer games on U.S. soil. They are back again. St. Louis City SC has organized a news conference that will feature Mayor Kara Spencer, President and GM Diego Giuliani, President of the St. Louis Sports Commission Mark Schreiber, President and CEO of Explore St. Louis Brad Dean, Ron Kitchens, CEO of Greater St. Louis Inc., emceed by Bill McDermott, Sir Soccer himself, the St. Louis soccer legend, at the Michelob Ultra Club today at Energizer Park to announce that St. Louis City SC will be a venue for the 2028 Olympic Games. The soccer matches, the finals, will be at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, but the earlier games will be in 7 different locations, including St. Louis. That was announced this morning and confirmed by Mayor Spencer's office, and now a press conference has been set. Nashville, Columbus, New York City, San Jose, San Diego, and St. Louis. Much more coming this morning on KMOX. We also have the Gas House Gang today at noon. And just before that, we're anticipating hearing a little bit further from President of Baseball Operations Chaim Bloom. The Cardinals made the deal yesterday. They traded Brendan Donovan to the Seattle Mariners. It's a 3-team deal involving the Tampa Bay Rays. The Cardinals received Jurangelo Sinjay, a pitcher who actually throws lefty and righty, but he's expected to be a right-handed pitcher. He can throw it into the upper 90s with a hard slider. Ty Pete is also a first-round pick of the Mariners. Sinjay in 2024, Pete in 2023. Pete is a slugging outfielder, left-handed hitter. Colton Ledbetter comes over from the Rays. He's an outfielder, reached Double-A last year, left-handed hitting slugger. And the Cardinals also received 2 compensation round B draft selections projected as numbers 68 and 72 right now in the upcoming MLB draft. That's right, 5 players for Brendan Donovan, who was tremendous for this team. 29-year-old was drafted by the Cardinals, developed by the Cardinals, played 4 seasons with St. Louis, including his first National League All-Star selection in 2025, and he won a Gold Glove. Donovan is a Seattle Mariner, and the Cardinals receive 3 players and 2 draft picks for Donovan. In the meantime, we have college basketball on KMOX tonight. The Billikens are in North Carolina. They are taking on Davidson. It's an 8 o'clock tip-off, 7:45 pregame. SLU in the latest AP Top 25 is up to number 19. They are 21-1 overall. They're 9-0 in the Atlantic 10 Conference, and they take on Davidson tonight. They also have an illness, Robbie Avila, that they're going to have to manage, figure out how many minutes he can play, if at all. They'll be talking about that, I'm sure, in the pregame today. You won't want to miss Bob Ramsey and Earl Austin Jr., the hottest team in basketball right now, St. Louis University, with the game tonight. Illinois is as hot as can be, and they are ranked 5th in the country in the latest AP Top 25. The Blues, they lost last night to Nashville after being up 5-1 in the game. They fell 6-5 to the Nashville Predators. Here is Coach Jim Montgomery.
Where this one turned on you guys? I felt that, once they scored their second goal, I didn't feel the same amount of confidence with our players with the puck. We started turning pucks over that I thought we had time and space, and then it just started to snowball.
And that seems to be a common thing for this Blues team. They blow a 4-goal lead and drop one at Nashville. I'm Tom Ackerman on the home of the Cardinals and Billikens, 104.1 FM KMOX.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Drury, today, and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120. Visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Big game, big screen, big energy at Ballpark Village, Sunday, February 8th. Enjoy the big game like you're in the end zone, featuring in-arena touchdown celebrations, band cams, contest VIP packages, and more, hosted by RDJ and DJ Dex. Save up to $10 on tickets with code KMOX. Tickets and event details at stlballparkvillage.com/events. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
Total Information AM. The news continues on 104.1 FM KMOX.
7:51 and time to check in with Roger Brand, who's in the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, still a ton of traffic. Some things are doing a little bit better, though, at least as far as lane restrictions, Debbie. It looks like, to me, like they reopened that left lane southbound 55 past McNutt. I did see flashing lights. It's hard for me to tell. There was a MoDOT truck there with his aero board out there earlier, and he's not now. So it looks like they're getting that wrapped up. South 55, though, is still jammed north of Z down to McNutt. Northbound 55, you still got a backup. Bayless to Weber, slow to Virginia. North 270, north of 55 is still slow to 44. And then it's a solid jam from 44 most of the way up to 64. But again, they cleared the crash. It was in the left lane just before 64. South 270, Dorset through 364 backed up. Then it's opening up, by the way. Northbound 141, folks are using that as an alternate route. So Hawkins up into Valley Park, like Marshall Road, actually Forest. And then north of Manchester all the way up through 64. Or let's call it Big Bend up through Carmen through Manchester to about Dutch Mill, and then Clayton Road to 64. So again, a lot of heavy traffic in general is what we're looking at. Southbound 61 busy onto 64, but after that, not so bad until you get to Boone's Crossing through to Timberlake and Spady through the Innerbelt. Innerbelt's bogged down at Delmar. Westbound 64 Science Center through Hanley's heavy. Eastbound Highway 70 Approaching Highway Z all the way into Bryan Road, and 94 into Arcadia is heavy. Downtown's 5570 at Exchange, 64 at Boslow to the Poplar was still jammed westbound 270 west of 255 most of the way to Route 3 because of an earlier incident. Next update is 7:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg says chilly today. Watch for some freezing drizzle possibly. High 36. Partly to mostly cloudy, cold, low 19. Tomorrow, cold with intervals of clouds and sunshine and a high of 31. It's 30 right now.
The news continues at 7:53. The debate over how to manage Wildwood's deer herd isn't just about numbers, it's about method. The city currently uses professional sharpshooters who fire over bait at close range, designed to drop animals to the ground instantly. Aaron Schenk with the Department of Natural Resources notes this is very different from traditional archery hunting.
The shots that are taken are different as well, where the deer are not running, as opposed to bow hunting, where oftentimes they can run, 30 to 100 yards, and then they've got to be tracked.
Because sharpshooters generally make sure the deer don't run, Wildwood argues their method avoids having to deal with wounded animals dying in residents' backyards.
Milk choices in Missouri schools are about to get a lot richer.
A new federal move is bringing whole and 2% milk back to cafeterias for the first time in years. Alfred Brandt, executive director of the Missouri Dairy Growth Council, says it's positive for the dairy industry and positive for health.
For keeping these kids going. Whole milk's got 13 essential minerals and vitamins, and it's nature's most perfect food. It's what we've always said, and it's true.
President Trump signed the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act earlier this month, and federal officials say students could see whole and 2% milk back in cafeterias within weeks, marking the first time those fuller fat options have been allowed in schools in more than a decade. Beth Coughlin, KMOX News.
It's an interesting mix as Consumer Reports lays out its top 10 vehicles for 2026.
Honda Civic, Tesla's Model Y, and the Ford F-150 on the list, along with the Toyota Camry, Subaru Forester, and others. One common trait, each model has an electric or hybrid version.
If you hop into basically any of the hybrids that are on this list, I think you'd be hard-pressed to even realize you were driving a hybrid.
Alex Nizick of Consumer Reports saying many of the models on their list come in well below the average transaction price for a new car or truck. Jeff Gilbert, CBS News, Detroit.
If you have booked a United Airlines flight for tomorrow, heads up.
United is planning a major technology upgrade to its online reservation system between 2:30 and 6 a.m. Eastern Wednesday. The airline is warning passengers and even its employees that many of its web and app services will not be available during that time. Customers won't be able to check in for flights, retrieve their itineraries, cancel bookings, or make new reservations. United is urging passengers with flights tomorrow to check in today. The carrier says it has been rehearsing the technology upgrade and it should go smoothly. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
The heirs of a Jewish art dealer are suing New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Max Julius Brunthal's descendants claim he was forced to sell an impressionist masterpiece under duress during Germany's occupation of France in 1941, rendering the sale void under current French law. They want a court there to order the Met to return Pissarro's 1899 painting Haystacks to them. Court papers say Brunthal was destitute when he sold to a Paris art gallery for 100,000 francs. That's about $128,000 in today's money. The Met has deemed it a fair price and refuses to budge. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Lots of traffic out there. Roger Brand will take it next. It's 7:56.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you are facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
The Humane Society of Missouri's 5th Annual Day of Giving is coming up. On February 10th, you'll hear powerful rescue stories of animals fighting to survive and the life-saving work of the Animal Cruelty Task Force. These stories will be shared throughout the day on local TV stations and anytime at hsmo.org/dog. They remind us why your support truly matters. Donations are welcome anytime at hsmo.org/dog. That's hsmo.org/dog.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work And they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Shows Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Looking for a career change? The Gelman team with eXp Realty is hiring. Their unmatched blueprint to success, real support, and proven systems help agents take their business to the next level. Level up your future and your earning potential. Take the first step to see if you're a perfect fit at thegelmanteam.com.
Here is Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, North 270 is still slow. Tess on Ferry to 44 and stop-and-go pockets from there up past Manchester. Then it's slow up to Ladue. South 270, Dorset, down through 364 is on the brakes. Eastbound Highway 70, A through to Bryan Road, 94 into the Earth City area is kind of slow. Southbound 61 coming on to 64 to Lake St. Louis Boulevard is busy. Boone's Crossing headed up through Clarkson, and from Spady all the way through the inner belt's heavy. On the Illinois side, westbound 270 still jams 255 most of the way to Route 3. Next update at 8:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, here's what Debbie Monterrey has coming up on Total Information AM in the 8 o'clock hour. There are psychological benefits to crying she will explore.
Also, it's Black History Month. We'll hear from the Missouri History Museum about special programming for February.
And TV Guide's Matt Roush will be along.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. Cloudy and chilly today. A few flurries this morning, the high 36.
I'll be back for the Gas House Gang at noon. We'll talk about the Brendan Donovan trade, which was much discussed. I'm fascinated by the variety of opinions on this one. Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji join me at noon.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. New developments in the search for Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother. Pima County, Arizona Sheriff Chris Nanos is now calling Nancy Guthrie's disappearance over the weekend an abduction.
She didn't go willingly. This is an 84-year-old lady who, in the middle of the night, while she's asleep, is taken from her home.
Still no motive. Officials have set up a tip line. They're offering a reward of up to $2,500 for images, video, or information that leads to an arrest. Savannah Guthrie is in Tucson working with police to find her mom. President Trump is asking lawmakers to end the partial government shutdown that started Saturday. Senators advanced the bill without money for the DHS. Correspondent Nicole Killian from Capitol Hill.
The House is expected to vote today on a funding measure to end the partial government shutdown. It would fund several key agencies like the Defense and State Departments, but it would only fund the Department of Homeland Security for the next 2 weeks to allow lawmakers time to negotiate reforms to ICE.
$20 million to pay for agent body cams are already in the bill. The city council in Portland, Oregon is condemning the use of tear gas by federal agents during a family-friendly protest Saturday.
City Councilor Ilana Pirtle-Guinea says seniors and kids in strollers were at the daytime rally outside an ICE building.
There is never a justification for tear gassing children. There just isn't.
Councilor Mitch Green is an Army veteran.
It was probably one of the most intense tear gas exposures I've ever dealt with.
Councilors are asking residents who were targeted with munitions during the rally to contact them. They're also looking to cancel ICE's city operating license, but that could lead to a long, costly legal battle. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Analysts are weighing in on Elon Musk's decision to merge SpaceX and AI into one giant $1.25 trillion company. Among them, CBS's Jill Schlesinger.
These are obviously two very different companies, with SpaceX operating satellites, reusable rockets, and spacecraft, while xAI is training large language models to compete against OpenAI, Anthropic, DeepMind, and all the other artificial intelligence companies out there.
French prosecutors say they searched the Paris offices of Musk's social media platform X today as part of their investigation into alleged offenses, including spreading child pornography, deepfakes, and Holocaust denial. Musk and his former CEO, Linda Yaccarino, have both been asked to attend voluntary interviews in April. Dow futures down 16. This is CBS News.
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored.
It is 8:03, and right now we've got cloudy skies, 31 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey. It's a big get for St. Louis, named one of 7 host locations for Olympic soccer matches in 2028. Mayor Kara Spencer's office confirms the news in a written statement, which reads in part, "The summer of 2028 will actually mark the return of Olympic competition to St. Louis. We hosted the Olympic Games right here in St. Louis in 1904. And while a few things have changed since then, we know that these games will showcase the absolute best of our city. People will be traveling from around the world to our great city to experience our food, our culture, and our community. We can't wait to welcome them." Energizer Park will be known as St. Louis Stadium for the competitions here. Cards TV broadcasts will look less like Fox Sports Midwest and more like MLB Network this year.
That's because starting this season, Major League Baseball takes over the television production of Cardinals games.
Cardinals TV ultimately is going to be a new way for fans to watch all of our local in-market games.
If you have cable, you'll still find the games with specific channel numbers coming in a few weeks. If you stream, a standalone subscription will now cost $19.99 a month or $99.99 for the year. Cardinals Senior VP Anouk Karutnaratne says the league isn't just taking over distribution, they're upgrading the visuals with wire cams and cinematic shots.
I think baseball is putting a big focus on thinking about how to modernize, a baseball broadcast. And, some of those things we will certainly experiment with this season.
The broadcasts will also feature new on-screen graphics to visualize the challenge system that's coming for balls and strikes. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Even if you get confused about which app or channel you need to watch the cards, you won't have to guess where to listen to them. Anouk Karutnaratne says the franchise treasures its longtime stability on the radio dial.
Obviously, really appreciate you guys and our relationship with KMOX. It's one that goes back, this being the 100th year of KMOX in our market.
KMOX, of course, will carry every regular season game plus a slate of spring training matchups starting later this month. A domestic dispute call in the Skinker de Bolivar neighborhood Monday night ended with St. Louis City Police wounding a man who shot and killed a woman in front of them. This happened around 8 last night in the 5700 block of Waterman.
When officers face danger, they do it professionally, they do it quickly, and they do everything they can to save human lives.
That is police spokesperson Mitch McCoy, who says efforts to try and save the woman were unsuccessful, but authorities were able to get the man to a hospital. He is said to be in critical, unstable condition. No names have yet been released. A St. Louis man accused of trying to steal cars at a Southern Illinois gas station, then roughing up some officers who tried to arrest him. Mount Vernon police say 46-year-old Aaron Perkaski faces charges of attempted vehicle hijacking, attempted vehicle theft, aggravated battery to a police officer. And that's just for starters. Police say Perkaski's vehicle broke down on I-64. He went to the gas station Saturday afternoon to try and take someone else's vehicle. From the business desk, Imo's is unveiling its first ever collab. The 60-year-old St. Louis pizza company is teaming up with Mike's Hot Honey to create the Honey Trap Pizza. The pepperoni will go on top of the Provel instead of underneath so that it curls and has crispy edges and then is drizzled with Mike's Hot Honey. Hot honey and cupping pepperoni are both tracking as the fastest growing pizza ingredients. It is now 8:07, and we'll take a break here. We'll take a look at traffic and weather. Stay with us here on Total Information AM on KMOX.
Being first in line can be very important to homeowners. First in line for the plumber, first in line for the HVAC guy, first at Banner Construction. It's Banner Construction's winter home event, and you can be the first in line this spring and save before the annual price increases. Banner Construction is a James Hardy and Pella replacement windows specialist. And now is the best time to schedule a free in-home consultation with no obligation. Call 314-569-1050 or check them out on the web at bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
How many of you think taxes will go up in the future? And if they do, who will get hit the hardest? Maybe it's you, headed for retirement. You've been saving in that 401k or IRA, and that money has never been taxed. And Uncle Sam is looking at that account like it's a big, juicy steak. What can you do about it? Join the All Financial Group for their Taxes in Retirement Seminar, Thursday, February 19th or Tuesday, February 24th. They believe a financial plan is not a retirement plan without a tax plan. Fund your retirement, not Uncle Sam's. Reserve your spot today by calling 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
Swing and a home run to left. The first major league home run for Albert Pujols.
Among those voices, Dan Deerdorf.
Good football town with a lot of good football fans, and they deserve better than to have both of our teams lead.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Total Information AM on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
All right, it is time for us to check in with Roger Brand. He is joining us from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center. It's been a busy morning, Roger.
Yeah, it has. And, the original problem we had out there, Debbie, this morning was the tractor-trailer crash that occurred about 5 hours ago on southbound 55 at McNutt, and they're still dealing with the wrap-up of it. It still looks to me like in the distance that the left lane is closed as you get down closer to McNutt. So we still have a jam approaching Highway Z down through McNutt on southbound 55. It's been jammed, like I said, for hours. Northbound 55, you've still got delays from Bayless all the way up through Loughborough. North 270 slows approaching Gravois. It's jammed. 44 to Doherty Ferry, but then slow all the way up to Ladue. That's because of an earlier crash. South 270 north of Dorset, down through, we had a stall midway down between Page and Olive, so it's still backed up there. Eastbound 70 still kind of busy. Now it's primarily Earth City into the Rock Road, really. Eastbound 64 is a little heavy east of Prospect, Boone's Crossing through Clarkson, and then from Maryville Center up to 270, and then Lindbergh through the Interbelt, you got delays. Westbound 64, Hampton to Hanley, and Lindbergh out to 270, still slow. 44, Big Bend Berry Road area around the Cleat Station and approaching Hampton's a little heavy. Northbound 55, like I said, Bayless, Loughborough, and on the Illinois side, 64 at Baugh, 5570 Exchange, slow to the Poplar, and still a jam westbound on 270 from just west of 255. Midway between 203 and Route 3 because of an earlier incident. Next update at 8:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
KMOX AccuWeather, it'll be cloudy today. There can be a couple of flurries, even a touch of freezing drizzle in places this morning. Our high 36, partly to mostly cloudy and cold tonight, low 19. Cold tomorrow with intervals of clouds and sun, the high only 31. Clouds, some sun, and not so cold later Thursday, the high 42. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now at 8:11, it's just cloudy and 31 degrees in downtown St. Louis.
Well, as we continue on KMOX, good morning. Michael Calhoun with you. And we might call this CSI Merrimack. The Department of Natural Resources in Missouri is officially reconvening the Environmental Crimes Task Force. And with us now on KMOX is DNR Director Kurt Schaefer. Thank you so much for being with us, Kurt.
Thank you for having me on this morning.
So, the state has been prosecuting environmental crimes for a long time, but this task force hasn't really been active, I understand, in 25 years. What does it do to have this task force in place, or what have we not had by not having it in place?
Yeah, so in that intervening time, I mean, obviously, the Missouri Attorney General's office, both U.S. Attorney's offices, and remember, we have two in Missouri. We have the Eastern District based out of St. Louis, and we have the Western District U.S. Attorney's office based out of Kansas City. They have authority to prosecute environmental crimes and have been doing that. But what used to exist years ago, in fact, I was actually part of this as an Assistant Attorney General back in the 90s, was actually a task force which allowed for better communication between all of those entities, and that includes EPA as well. And so, by putting the task force back together, it allows us to share information. And then there are other things too. When you're developing a criminal case, there are certain constitutional protections that come into place for defendants potentially charged with a crime. And so that, how you handle evidence is done a little bit differently. And so this is a way to make sure that all those things are done properly and done in a more efficient fashion.
So would you say this cuts red tape, for instance, between DNR and EPA?
Yeah, I think absolutely, and it just helps the communication, and it helps cases move faster because the types of cases that we're talking about here, these aren't small cases. These are cases where someone has really jeopardized the health of Missourians, or done something that's extremely risky in terms of contaminating the environment for large financial gain. So you could think of somebody dumping 55-gallon barrels in the river that should be disposed of properly. Well, when you think about water intakes that a lot of our municipalities have from the river, things like that, those are things that can be very dangerous. And so those are crimes that really you want to get to quickly, and you want to make sure that behavior is not repeated.
So this isn't necessarily, a midnight dumping incident. This is a company and, millions of gallons of waste, kind of on that level.
Well, I think when you're looking at kind of the resources that come into play to prosecute these cases, I think at the county level, you've got a county prosecutor in all 114 counties as well as the city of St. Louis, and they have the ability to handle some of the smaller cases. But some of the bigger ones, another one that's really kind of on the rise now, for example, at the Department of Natural Resources, we issue the permits for all of the public drinking water systems in the state of Missouri, as well as the wastewater systems. That would be the sewer systems. And so we are kind of nationally starting to see a higher incident of people trying to hack into the computer systems that manage those programs to cause harm to the public. And so those also are the types of cases we'll be looking at.
I was just going to ask, in terms of trying to make it relatable for the average person, I think when it comes to at least the impact of environmental waste, a lot of people probably relate most to the Westlake landfill situation here.
Well, I mean, that obviously has its own, historic background, but what we want to make sure is that, things are being disposed of properly, that people aren't, getting around environmental laws that are designed to protect human health and the environment in order to save money. And again, obviously some of these things, depending on the industry, can be very expensive. And so sometimes there is an incentive for bad actors to try and dispose of those things in a way that does harm the public and harms the environment. And those are the types of cases that we're going to prioritize.
Yeah, there's one case. There have been a lot of investigative reports recently about the Berger warehouse, 13 million pounds of toxic powder that was put inside of a building for years in a rural, outstate Missouri community. Taxpayers had to pay much of the cleanup costs. Is that the kind of situation, first of all, that this task force will look at? But then is that specifically something that's on their agenda, especially trying to get some of those costs back for taxpayers?
Well, the nice thing about doing the task force is it really combines the ability to look at criminal violations of both state environmental laws as well as federal. And so I think, as an example, anything that does, that violates one or the other are things that we're going to look at. Also the disposal, for example, the illegal disposal of biohazardous waste, medical waste, for example, from a healthcare provider. That's something that we've certainly seen in the past. So, that would be a violation of both state law and federal law. But this gives us the ability to look at which system, federal system or state system, is a better fit for how that case should be handled. And because we're all working together, we can choose which is the better route for those to go.
How big of a role, especially with this announcement, trying to get this out there, is deterrence with this? And is that something you're trying to send a message about today?
Absolutely. Deterrence is a huge part of it. I think that the more people understand that, these things are crimes, and especially, making the public understand that, when they see these things that may be, jeopardizing their health, the health of their neighbors, the health of the environment, that there is an entity that's out there looking at prosecuting these things when it's appropriate to bring them as a criminal case. So actually, I think deterrence is a huge part of it, making sure that people see that these things do get prosecuted, and it's never profitable to try and get around the laws that are designed to protect Missourians just so you can save some money.
Are there any kind of, investigative wise, any kind of specialized tools or forensic capabilities that'll come along with now having this partnership and all these different agencies cooperating?
Yeah, and kind of the tools, obviously, we do have investigators at the Department of Natural Resources, as does EPA, as does obviously the FBI, which sometimes gets involved in these cases. Because a lot of times what you'll find is, some of these cases, for example, I gave the example of, illegal disposal of medical waste. So you've got the environmental aspect that goes along with that, maybe contaminated biohazard material of, things that could be illegally dumped. But then also usually there's an insurance element, sometimes a Medicaid element of the financial part that goes along with that. So also being part of this task force, we can bring in partners like the FBI and others that then, everything that results from that illegal activity can be charged. So there are a lot of benefits to all of us working together.
Department of Natural Resources Director Kurt Schaefer with us on KMOX about the reconvening of the Environmental Crimes Task Force. Thank you so much, Director Schaefer, for being with us. We appreciate it.
Yep, thank you very much.
How can researchers help disrupt one of the most serious threats facing our nation today? Over the past year, more than 80,000 of our fellow citizens have died from drug overdoses, as deadly drugs like fentanyl have flooded into our cities and towns, falling into the hands of our children, siblings, parents, friends, and neighbors, and leaving devastation in their wake.
The fentanyl arrives in two primary ways. One comes directly from China to individuals who press it into pills in this country. But there is also a tremendous shipment to Mexico that is then shipped across the border.
Louise Shelley is a U.S. National Science Foundation-supported researcher whose group has joined the extraordinary efforts of federal, state, and local law enforcement officers on the front lines of the nation's fight against drug trafficking by using their expertise in international criminal enterprises to help law enforcement efforts in dismantling the criminal organizations that threaten American communities.
And with a small team, within 2 months, we started disrupting these supply chains because it worked according to this pattern that had already been identified in human trafficking research.
The ingenuity of the American people is being put on display as bold policy actions combine with the creativity and dedication of law enforcement professionals to combat this evolving threat of drug trafficking and protect American lives. Learn more about this research in NSF's Discovery Files podcast, Fentanyl and Illicit Trafficking.
It is going on 8:20, and that means it's time for us to get you a check of traffic and weather. The weather probably not as complicated as the traffic has been so far this morning. Let's get the very latest from Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, we still got a jam on southbound 55, Debbie, south of the Joachim Creek down through McNutt. That left lane still closed from the overnight crash, which all lanes were closed for hours, but now it's still the left lane, so it's still a pretty good-sized jam there. Northbound 55, you're backed up. Bayless up to River to Pear, bumper to bumper. We had an earlier incident there. North 270, Gravois up to about Big Bend, Doherty Ferry all the way up to Ladou's busy. Still have that, looks like it's a crash in the left lane. South 270, midway between 364 and Olive. It's still jammed back north of Dorset. Eastbound Highway 70, the bulk of the volumes east of the Blanchette Bridge in through the Lindbergh area. There's an incident westbound, a crash or a stall right before Lindbergh. I can't tell which it is, but it's jammed back to about air flight on westbound 70. Like I said, there's eastbound Gawkers there. Eastbound 64 through the Chesterfield Parkways is still slow. 141 to 270. Lindbergh or east of Lindbergh into Big Bend. Westbound 64 Hampton to Hanley and Clayton Wharton to 270 is heavy. South 170 bogged down at Brentwood. 44 eastbound Elm to Cleat Station's heavy. If you're on downtown run, westbound 70 west of the McKinley Bridge out through O'Fallon Park, the Shreve area is pretty heavy. Westbound 64, 70 split to the Poplar Soul, and we still have a jam westbound 270 west of 255 past 203. Next update at 8:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, it's going to be a cloudy day today. And Joe Lundberg thinks if you haven't seen any flurries or freezing drizzle in your neck of the woods this morning, you probably won't see it at this point. Our high today, 36, 19 overnight with partly to mostly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, clouds and sun, high 31. It starts getting a little warmer, though. Thursday, We'll see some clouds and sun 42, 47, and mostly sunny on Friday, and partly sunny 45 on Saturday. Currently, though, it is 31 degrees with cloudy skies in downtown St. Louis.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
Hi, Margaret with Eamon Gantner and Capriano. We all procrastinate. We put things off, confident we'll have time later. Well, one who procrastinates in choosing will inevitably have their choices made for them by circumstance. Could be an illness or even a death. And it happened to me. I was widowed at 41. It could happen to you. If you procrastinate and fail to plan for your future, for your children, circumstances and the courts will make your plans for you without your input. Eamon Gantner and Capriano help thousands of families plan for their future now. We can be your personal attorney too, guiding you with a will, trust, powers of attorney, Medicaid, and VA. You may delay, but time does not. Eamon Gantner and Capriano, YourEstateMatters.com.
The choice of an attorney is an important decision and shouldn't be based solely on advertising.
Attention all dog owners. If you have ever listened to the radio or TV for any length of time, you've probably heard of America's #1 dog supplement, Rough Greens. Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, Amazon best-selling author and founder of Rough Greens here. And if your dog suffers from bad breath, itchy skin, licking paws, joint pain, or low energy, the truth is their food is probably to blame. You see, all commercial dog food is dead food. That's why I created Rough Greens. One daily scoop gives your pup the live vitamins, omega oils, probiotics, and enzymes that will bring their food back to life. Don't believe me? Let your dog try it before you buy it. I'll send you a free Jumpstart trial bag, risk-free. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Use discount code NEWS. Don't wait. Give your dog the gift of vibrant health. Order now. It'll be at your house in a few days. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Discount code NEWS for your free Jumpstart trial bag today. Rough Green. We make any dog food better.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
It is 8:24. This is Total Information AM. I'm Debbie Monterrey, and KMOX has told you about the February 14th deadline if you've been affected by the May tornado. But there is something else the city's chief recovery officer, Julian Nick, says is very important.
The Valentine's Day deadline is to get an application in for the private property assistance program, but there is something else Nick says the city needs help with.
I know there's been also a lot of questions around why the deadline, why now, why so quick. This deadline is largely driven by FEMA-oriented deadlines that's required around $156 million that we found out about in early January. We announced the deadline, for many of you know, in mid-January, and we are kind of pushing our timeline to make sure that we can hit the timelines required for broader state funding. But I wanted to send a very clear message. Our goal is for everyone who is eligible, for everyone in their neighborhood, to get their properties fixed. This deadline is trying to make sure we can make as many of those individuals possible and eligible under the FEMA funding. We will continue to work with residents who missed the deadline. Our intention is to support all the residents where we can, and this effort is just to try to drive that urgency to make sure we can get as many applications in by the deadline. I also wanted to share a little bit more information for the public. We need help. We will be doing a lot more work to do outreach, whether that be both door knocking, getting materials out into public spaces, attending community meetings. But the biggest issue we have is we have a lot of properties where the landlords or the owners may no longer be in that property. So knocking on the door is not sufficient. Our contact information, whether it be from FEMA or whether it be from our internal databases, for a lot of those contacts are not accurate. We're getting a lot of disconnects. So if you know a neighbor, a place who has not registered, we would love for you to be able to contact us and provide us with that respective information. So the ways that people can do that is, one, we have launched a dashboard online for you to be able to see at app.sco-recovers.com. You can see on that who are the people that have applied in your neighborhood and also who are the people that aren't. What we're asking is that if you know someone whose property does not apply, you know that person, to one, encourage them to apply, or if you also have their information, to please share that information with us. They can do that by calling the call center, which is 833-925-0977. They can visit the Outreach Center on Natural Bridge at 4401 Natural Bridge, and they can flag those properties and let us know who that owner is, any context they have on the property, so we can do our best work to try to get as many people registered as possible.
Now, the delivery of services has not started in scale as the city and state are hiring and onboarding contractors, but work is expected to accelerate in March after the contractors are hired. The Private Property Assistance Program is a city-led program with state and federal funding and execution support that helps property owners who do not have enough funding to, one, stabilize and repair damaged properties to habitability where feasible, demolish structures that are unsafe or beyond repair, and three, remove tornado-related debris and hazardous trees from private property. Maria Kina, KMOX News.
It is now 8:27. The time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Since we have lawyers in all 50 states, I see and hear lots of lawyer ads. It seems that most are bragging on what they got their clients. But be careful. If you heard that someone sold their car for $500,000, you would be impressed. But if you later learned that it was a rare $10 million Ferrari, would you say that person got screwed? And that's before you even know if it's true, who is fact-checking, and how much went to medical bills and lawyers' fees. If you want to get an idea what your case may be really worth, visit forthepeople.com and go to settlements and verdicts. You will see what a law firm like ours is capable of. And fact-check for yourself. All that glitters is not gold. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason. We won big, a lot. At Morgan & Morgan, we represent consumers. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Can I take your coat?
Oh, you noticed. Yeah, I found it on eBay from a seller in Vegas. Pre-loved and perfect. She listed it and jackpot. Italian leather. Classic trench silhouette. And did you see the braided buckle?
Hang on to your claim ticket.
Oh, I'll hang on to this forever. Have you been on eBay? There's so many finds. And I bet that diving watch would sell fast. Just saying.
Find what you love. Sell what you don't. eBay. Things people love.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
It is 8:30, and this is Total Information AM. Let's see what Roger Brand is looking at in the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
No, we still got issues around the area, Debbie, unfortunately. It looks like they have flatbeds on the scene, but the left lane's still blocked for the crash. Southbound 270 south of 364, so it's still jammed back through Dorset on South 270. North 270, a little slow down north of Gravois, and then north of 44 all the way to Ladue. That's still busy. Eastbound Highway 70, you've still got slow traffic east of the Blanchette Bridge all the way in through Lindbergh to almost Cypress. We have a crash westbound at that point that has traffic jammed back to about the east terminal of the airport right now, so be prepared for that one. Eastbound 64, still a little traffic, Clarkson to Timberlake, Maryville Center through Mason, and then east of Lindbergh through the Intervale, kind of slow. Westbound 64, Hampton to Hanley, and Clayton Morrison out to 270s. Heavy if you're on northbound Highway 55. You've still got delays from Bayless up through midway up to Weber. It looks like there was a minor crash, but it's still slow all the way through Holly Hills. Southbound 55, you still have this jam from the Joachim out of Z down toward McNutt. That left lane still closed from the overnight semi-crash. Westbound 64 downtown, approaching 3 to the Poplar, still heavy. Westbound 70 from west of the Musel Veterans Bridge out toward Salisbury, a minor incident reported there. We still have this crash causing a jam on 270 westbound before you get to Route 3. It's still jammed west of 255, and there's an eastbound jam now through the area as well between 3 and 203. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, we are going to have cloudy skies today and a high of 36 degrees, 19 overnight, sun and clouds and 31 tomorrow. We are at 32 degrees right now with cloudy skies in downtown St. Louis. It's 8:32. I'm ridiculously excited about this. Matt Roush of TV Guide Magazine is joining me, and the Muppet Show is back.
Yeah, at least for one night only. We'll see how it goes. But on Wednesday, ABC, which is owned by Disney, which part of that company involves Jim Henson's Muppets, that they sort of own the rights to all of that. So it's a happy synergy where on Wednesday there's going to be a new edition of The Muppet Show, and Sabrina Carpenter, who's just about everywhere. She performed at the Grammys over the weekend, but now she's going to be the special guest, as they always had a special guest on The Muppet Show, and Kermit introduces her. But her scenes with Miss Piggy are particularly delicious. In the first time they're in the dressing room together, they're both wearing the same costume and the same wig, and you know that will not stand for Miss Piggy. So in any way, it's kind of a hoot. You also see Seth Rogen briefly. He's the executive producer of this comeback show, and if it does well, maybe they'll keep it as a thing. They've tried to bring it back several times, whether on ABC or other formats. The old episodes are, of course, streaming on Disney Plus. But it's just great to see the Muppets back. And that was always my favorite incarnation when they're doing it like an old-fashioned variety show. And so, yeah, if you're a fan of the Muppets, make sure you're on ABC on Wednesday to see them come back at least for one night.
Yeah, I love me some Muppets. Well, that's the good news. The sad news over the weekend is the death of Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah, I think it was a shock to the entire entertainment industry and, of course, all of her fans. But you think about what a great career she had, beginning with the SCTV troupe in Canada, became a real sensation around the same time as Saturday Night Live. When she was working alongside people like Andrea Martin and then Eugene Levy, with whom she co-starred and won Emmys for in Schitt's Creek, which was a beloved character of her late in her career. But just last year, she was nominated for 2 Emmys, one for the biggest comedy hit of last year in terms of awards anyway, The Studio from Apple TV. And then she had a small role on the second season of The Last of Us, and she got nominated for that as well. She was one of those people who made such indelible impression in all of her films and TV shows that she would almost always get nominated. She actually won an Emmy early on in her career for writing on SCTV, Second City TV from Canada. And yeah, she will be beloved forever. And then, the movies from Beetlejuice and Home Alone, and then all the Christopher Guest mockumentaries, Best in Show, and that's relevant now because the Westminster Dog Show is about to end this week. So yeah, she was just wonderful in everything, and yes, she'll be terribly missed.
Yeah, Catherine O'Hara, the legend. Also returning is The Lincoln Lawyer, which a 4th season. Are we there already?
Yeah, already. We are there already. But there's quite a few books that they're adapting, and this is one of Michael Connelly's novels. He does the Bosch series, but also the Lincoln Lawyer series about Mickey Haller, this lawyer who works out of his Lincoln his Lincoln sedan or whatever. Manuel Garcia Rolfo is playing the lead role, and he's quite charming. But in this particular season, based on one of Michael Connelly's books, he's the one on trial that one of his former clients was found dead in his trunk, and that makes him the suspect. So he has to fight for his own innocence, becoming his own lawyer. They often say that that's a very foolish thing to do, but if anybody can pull it off, it's the Lincoln Lawyer, and that season drops on Netflix on Thursday.
That is Matt Roush of TV Guide Magazine joining us on KMOX.
Hi, my name's Robin Fletcher. I've smoked for 46 years. I went to a seminar and I have not smoked a cigarette since I left. My best friend came with me and neither one of us smoked. I took my 3 sisters and my brother-in-law and my sister's best friend. None of them have smoked a cigarette. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
My name is Jen Carpenter. I went to a Mark Patrick seminar back in February 12, 2015, to stop smoking, and it worked. I'm coming up on 11 years. A friend of mine also went in October of 2015, and he still no longer smokes. This is after, for myself, almost 30 years of smoking, and it was just amazing.
What are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis and lose the weight or stop smoking, or your money back, only $59.99. That's right, Weight Loss Hypnosis, Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott St. Louis Westport in St. Louis at 11 a.m. Registration 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
I'm Kiara Palazzolo,
VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
It is 8:37. Time for us to take a look at your money report, sponsored by Ackerman, Gantner, and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Pepsi is seeing a pop in international demand. The snacks and beverage giant reported better than expected quarterly earnings. Pepsi has been pressured by an activist investor to revamp its product lineup and make key brands more affordable. In December, Pepsi announced plans to reduce its product lineup by 20% and cut prices in some key brands. Pepsi owns a number of brands, including Lay's and Gatorade. Checking on stocks this morning, tech shares are supporting the markets. Elon Musk is merging his rocket company SpaceX with his artificial intelligence startup XAI. The merged company is worth about $1.25 trillion. S&P futures are seeing gains this morning. And this Friday's jobs report will not be released as scheduled due to the partial government shutdown. The Labor Department says the release will be rescheduled when the government funding resumes. The Labor Department, along with some other government agencies, was only funded through January 30th. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Hey, St. Louis City SC fans, mark your calendars now. The Boys in Red return to Energizer Park to kick off Season 4 Saturday, February 21st. And you could be there for the dawn of a new golden era of St. Louis soccer. Go to stlcitysc.com/tickets and reserve your seat now for the MLS home opener versus Charlotte FC. Limited quantities remain. See you soon, St. Louis.
Soulard is going to the dogs. Make sure to bring your four-legged friend to the streets of Soulard for the 33rd annual Purina Pet Parade, the world's largest costume pet parade. It all starts at 12th and Allen, Sunday, February 8th at 1 p.m. And KMOX's own Dave Glover will be leading the pack as the parade's Grand Marshal. Sign up today to march in the parade with your dog. The event supports Open Door Animal Sanctuary. For more details, PurinaPetParade.com. Don't miss this annual St. Louis Mardi Gras tradition, sponsored by Purina.
For 100 years, KMOX has been a part of St. Louis. Now, those moments live on, preserved, remastered, and ready to be heard again. Discover KMOX from the Archives, a podcast featuring classic audio from a century of service.
Sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
The KMOX from the Archives podcast, available now at KMOX100.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com.
It's 8:41. Let's see if things have calmed down a little. It's been a really busy morning on the roadways. Roger Brand has the latest from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, it's better in spots, Debbie. For example, they cleared the crash southbound 270 midway between 364 and Olive. There's still a backup Dorset down to 364, and then it's opening up. North 270 still slow, 44 up to Ladue. Eastbound Highway 70 heavy in spots from Earth City in through the Cypress area because of the westbound incident there that has traffic jam from the east terminal of the airport out to that point. If you're on eastbound Highway 64, there's still slow traffic Lindbergh through the Interbelt, south 170, bogs down to the Parkway. Westbound 64 Science Center to Hanley, still pretty heavy. Southbound 55, it still looks to me like in the haze there, that left lane still shut down near McNutt from the overnight crash. Traffic is bogged down back at the Joachim Creek. Downtown, westbound 64, a little heavy to the Poplar. And on the Illinois side, westbound 270, still a jam. West of 255 to a point just east of Route 3 because of a crash. And eastbound's backed up east of Route 3 into that 203 area now as well. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
All right, we'll have cloudy skies today with a high around 36 degrees. Tomorrow's high 31. Right now it's 31 in downtown St. Louis. It is 8:42. Let's talk about crying. In many ways, crying is viewed negatively in our society. Cry baby, cry like a girl, for crying out loud, cry me a river. Is it time to destigmatize crying? Joining me is Dr. Michael Mahan, psychotherapist and counselor. Thanks for being here.
Well, Debbie, thank you for having me.
Well, we were talking amongst ourselves in the newsroom, and two women had mentioned that they never cry, like hardly ever, and they wondered if there was something wrong with that. And then I said, oh my God, I cry all the time, especially lately at the drop of a hat. Anything can make me tear up. So we started discussing, is crying healthy? And what is a healthy amount of crying?
Really, the answer to that question is whatever your body needs. And so when you started off talking about the negative stigmatization of crying, that's all psychological. That's all sociological. There's no biology that is involved in that. So if we just for 1 second think about what the biology of crying is, you have a segment of your nervous system called the autonomic nervous system. And I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but that has two branches, the sympathetic branch and the parasympathetic branch. And the sympathetic branch is what is responsible for fight or flight. So it's what ramps up your adrenal glands so that adrenaline and cortisol gets dumped into your system. The parasympathetic branch is the branch that is responsible for returning you to homeostasis. So you have two branches of that autonomic system, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. Sympathetic runs fight or flight, parasympathetic returns you to homeostasis. You have essentially four primary emotions that have to do with the way that your hormones are distributed in your body when you have an emotional response. So sad, glad, mad, and scared. So if we think that the sympathetic is responsible for fight or flight, that's mad and what? Scared. So in that sympathetic branch, the fight or flight, you have mad and scared. Happiness can run through both. So you can have joy, which runs through the parasympathetic, and you can have excitement before Christmas, which runs through the sympathetic branch. Sadness is the only human emotion that can only run through the parasympathetic branch. So its only biological function is to return a person to homeostasis.
And what is homeostasis?
Homeostasis is the scientific word for balance. So it's actually the very first requirement for life. If you think about what is life, the very first requirement is that it has to seek homeostasis. That is a basic function of life. And so sadness is the emotion that most completely, most powerfully returns the human body to homeostasis. So when you ask me, how much should you cry? You have to cry enough to allow your body to return to homeostasis.
So what about people who don't cry, who say they never cry? Is that okay because their body's okay, or is that holding something in?
You are clearly holding something in. I mean, you have the biological capacity for sadness and tears for a reason. If a person is not crying, then they must be therefore repressing that. I mean, if a person never got happy, no one would say, oh, well, that's okay. You can just live your life and never be happy. You would say, hey, you need to do something about that because that's not healthy. The same thing's true for sadness. You can only resolve trauma through sadness. So if you have trauma in your life, the only way that your body's going to be able to resolve that is through this process of return to homeostasis. When you deny yourself that, then that trauma is going to stay locked in your body, maybe forever if you never process it.
What about somebody like me? I don't think I cry. I don't cry most of the time out of sadness. If I see, those monks who are doing the peace walk, if I see a video of the monks, I'm crying.
Right.
If I see somebody rescuing a dog, I'm crying. If I see somebody accomplish something good, I cry. I may not weep, but I get all teary and choked up. So why am I crying over all these non-sad things?
Right. Well, have you ever heard somebody say, I was so happy I could cry? Or I was so scared I could cry? So you can cry whenever you are in any emotional extreme, because the function of crying is to return you to homeostasis. So anytime you are outside that homeostatic space that your body is trying to seek, you may feel like you want to cry because your body wants to return you back to homeostasis.
Is crying cleansing? Because I often feel like sometimes, gosh, you have a really good cry. Whew, you feel better.
Yeah. So the tears, the homeostasis, the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system is called the rest and digest part of the nervous system, because it controls rest and digestion and homeostasis. So yes, that's absolutely cleansing. There's no way to feel worse after you cry. So you can feel worse after you get mad. You can feel worse after you get scared. Sometimes you might even be able to feel worse after you get happy. But biologically, unless you're engaged in some process of cognitive thought about what you're doing, you can't biologically feel worse after you cry.
Well, some really good lessons there. People, don't be afraid to just shed a few tears. Dr. Michael Mahan, we appreciate the time this morning on KMOX. Coming up next, we're going to meet the Missouri Historical Society's new director of African American History Initiatives. And stay with us here on KMOX.
Total Information AM. Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's Tom Ackerman for Banner Construction, bannerconstruction.com. Banner Construction, located right here in St. Louis, been around for over 30 years, a full-service exterior home remodeler. If you've been looking at your weathered exterior of your home and thinking, I've got to do something. Well, now is the time to do something and be first in line for spring with Banner Construction. They're an elite preferred James Hardie specialist. That's the real wood look and feel of James Hardie siding. They are a certified Pella contractor, stylish window replacements. Call Banner Construction today and schedule that free in-home design and written estimate. It's free just to do that. Fall in love with your home again. See Banner's work at bannerconstruction.com or just call them 314-569-1050. 314-569-1050 for Banner Construction. Bannerconstruction.com, and have a banner day.
Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgaier of Fira Capital Management for your retirement highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, registered investment advisors. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
The Humane Society of Missouri's Day of Giving is just around the corner. On this day, your favorite local TV station will highlight incredible rescue stories of animals fighting to survive, stories of courage, resilience, and hope. Visit the Humane Society website to watch these powerful stories and see the life-saving work made possible by compassionate donors like you. These stories underscore why it's so vital to support the HSMO. Go to KMOX.com/events today for more information.
It is 8:50. Total Information AM continues. I'm Debbie Monterrey. The Missouri History Museum's newest exhibit, Mill Creek Black Metropolis, has been bringing in big crowds. It's just one of many things the Missouri Historical Society is doing these days. And joining me right now is the director of African American History Initiative, Laya LaFleur. Welcome.
Well, hello. Good morning, Debbie.
Thank you for being with me. I have been looking at your bio and oh my gosh, so impressive. I'm like, my next guest is a New York Times bestselling author, an award-winning producer, an NAACP Image Award winner, and also a native St. Louisan. Is all that accurate?
Oh, that's so accurate. And that last part is probably my proudest moment. I am St. Louis and so tying in with the campaign at the museum and excited to be a part of leading this initiative and just stepping in. I'm honored to be at the History Museum in this role. And my work really centers on community-centered storytelling, preserving Black history in this region and amplifying the contributions of African Americans in St. Louis and East St. Louis, and ensuring that history remains a living, breathing force in our present. So I'm excited to be here and to move into this space and to bring my resources to the museum.
For people who may not be familiar with the African American History Initiative, what is your vision for it, and what should people know about this project, this initiative?
Well, I'll say this, that my focus is really on visibility, sustainability, and the future, and growing public awareness of Black history, expanding our programming reach, being a part of that, and building the endowment that really is needed to strengthen our collections and the impact. So I'm just excited, to really be able to work hand in hand with our programming team, with our curators, and really invest in the internship part of it, creating real pathways for the next generation into museum careers for people of color. So, for this initiative is just such at the heart of all of it. You see it so much in what we have right now, which is Mill Creek, the Black metropolis, which, nearly 40,000 visitors to date have come to check it out. And it's really reaching multi-generational audiences. So to honor African-American trailblazers, past and present, right here in St. Louis and the surrounding region, it just ensures that Black history is preserved, shared, and activated as a living force. Black history really is foundational. It's not optional. So it shapes the rhythm of St. Louis, from music and entrepreneurship to activism and neighborhood life. So I think it's very personal, being a Native daughter and the daughter of two cultural architects here in St. Louis. It's very personal, and I feel like it's a great place for me at this point in my career.
Your mother, Shirley Bradley Lefleur, was St. Louis's poet laureate?
Yes, she was. And that's probably, that's something that, for me, it's like, I know that she's smiling down. We did a lot of great things at the History Museum with her works when she was living. One of her most powerful pieces that most people remember is Rivers of Women. And I produced that, directed it, sold out shows at the museum probably about 15 years ago in 2 different runs, and had an incredible cast, worked with an incredible composer who also produced it with me, Alaric Anderson, and just incredible performers. And so it's really a part of, I think I just have a natural connection to the museum. So this all is very full circle. And I think I'm making my mom very, very proud. And my dad was also a co-founder of BAG, Black Artist Group, in the 60s. And the beauty is they connect to the Mill Creek exhibit because they are both Sumner alums. So it's personal and it's powerful and it's time.
The Mill Creek exhibit is going to be out there for some time. So I don't want people to feel like they have to go this month, although it's a good month to go. I've been through it 3 times now. And each time I go, it is history of St. Louis, but it also feels so present day because every time I've been in there, it's been like a reunion. People are in there and they see someone they know, or they see an exhibit about someone they know. And it's really touching, more so than any of the other exhibits that the Missouri History Museum has had, in my opinion.
I think so. I think it was a long time coming. I think Gwen Moore did a phenomenal job as the curator and pulling together her team. It's really a story. That exhibit and Mill Creek itself is just a story of resilience and innovation and collective action. I actually, that footprint, I grew up in my formative years. I spent, my first years here on this planet were in a place that was very unique called Laclede Town. And so when I walked through the exhibit, like you could walk through probably 10 times and see something new every time. So there was this sort of space where I saw that piece that Jerry Berger was kind of the architect of that back in the day. And so it brought back a lot of memories. It gives me an opportunity for my family and I to share in the experience. So it really resonates, I think, with everybody from all walks of life. It's an intergenerational exhibit. It's a multi-ethnic exhibit. And it is about Black history, but it connects to every one of our histories. And that community itself was this multicultural experiment back in the 60s. And the top of the 70s. So I'm really, really proud to be coming into the museum at this time. And we have so much incredible programming coming with Black History Month and the St. Louis Birthday Bash, which is going to be exciting. So it all links together. Our Thursday nights at the museum start this week. So I couldn't have come at a better time. I'm like about 14 days in. And Heritage, which is February 5th, celebrates Black hair culture. February 12th, we are going to do an incredible sit down with Gwen Moore and Carol Daniel. And the theme is Mill Creek, the Harlem of St. Louis. February 19th is A Brick and a Bible, which is a performance. It's a play produced and put on by Bread and Roses. And, they're phenomenal. And that'll be running from the 20th through the 22nd of February as well. And the 26th, we're going to focus on Black history and disability. I think it's important that all cultures be sensitive and in tune with our disabled community. And so we'll have a keynote there. But, it all kicks off at 5 o'clock on Fridays with an incredible happy hour with music. And then the program starts at 6:30. And it all leads in, and in between and tied together is our big birthday bash, which is Saturday and Sunday, February 14th and 15th. So, we've got the Red, Black, and Brass Band. We've got pop-up talks. We've got all sorts of things centered around I Am St. Louis, which is our sort of guiding light right now. And so it's going to be just a great, great month amongst many months that History Museum puts on.
Well, Laya, we thank you so much for joining us, and we've got to run, but she is the Director of African American History Initiatives for the Missouri Historical Society, and all of that stuff she mentioned is going on at the Missouri History Museum. Laya LaFleury, twin, thank you so much for the time on KMOX.
Thank you so much. This was awesome. Have a great day.
You too.
The big news from last night, Brendan Donovan has been traded to the Seattle Mariners. We'll talk some baseball, and Olympic soccer is coming to St. Louis in 2028, and Jefferson Barracks celebrates